Warning, the Dub Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. There will also be spoilers for various anime throughout the course of this episode. Please use caution in case we discuss a series that you haven't finished yet. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and may not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show.
Hello students, welcome to calligraphy class. I will be your sensei. Sensei Spartan, classy. I will teach you both the basics and the fundamentals. And then I will take the basics and the fundamentals and then throw those out the fucking door and tell you the basics and fundamentals are bullshit. What's really important is the true, creative, artistic expression that's hidden inside your very soul, your core being. This is the second class, actually, in a year-long retrospective course that the Dub Talk School of Dubbing Arts has hosted at the start, and for the rest of 2025. This is a particular class that I attended many years ago, and have now become so trained in the art of dub podcasting over the past decade that I am now teaching it. We have a new student joining our program for this particular course. One Amon Duel. Thank you for joining the calligraphy class, young Amon Duel.
Who's young?
Apparently you're the young one.
That's unfortunate. Ooh. Oh dear.
Well, no, it's not uncommon. Like, think about it. You know, this is the time of life where a lot of people, reassess their career and, maybe make a pivot to something new entirely. I'm glad that you decided to join us for finger painting class, and I hope you're enjoying what you're learning.
Hey, I've moved up to crayons already. I'm not finger painting anymore.
You bastard
Be
moved
serious.
up to crayon? God darn it. I gotta up my game a little bit here.
Well, since you are being so bold as to speak for the teacher, would you care to introduce yourself, Mr. Clue?
Disney movies are dead, and the only stories that should be good is one where there's like a dark ending, and a female character is introduced in the first chapter and becomes completely useless by the second half, and there needs to be none of this happy endings anymore, and that's what I signed up for this show. This show is one that's dark and brooding, and there's nothing happy about this, is there?
I see you've been brushing up on your extra credit commentary work. I respect that. I appreciate that.
Sensei! I have a question!
Yes, it is time to give the floor to my favorite student, one Lilac Anime Review, spelled R-E-V-U-E. Stephanie, what would you like to say, dear?
Sensei, I have a question. What's BDSM?
Sensei, what does yaoi mean?
Sensei, what's a fujoshi?
Sensei, what does hot and heavy mean?
And to think, Professor, you volunteered for this job.
Tenor really isn't worth it, is it?
In this country? Hell yeah, it is.
Alright, so now that we're past the introductions, it's time to get down to business proper. Hello everybody, welcome to the Dub Talk podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in anime and English dubs. Except, we're not talking about the latest. We're actually talking about something we talked about almost a decade ago.
This was, if I may remind the folks, I think we recorded this back like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
August
I want to say...
2016.
Oh, that's almost 9.
Damn. Anyway.
So yeah, this is the second part of our year-long Dub Talk retrospective series, where we revisit old reviews and impression episodes we did many years ago, giving them a fresh perspective and maybe a few new eyes on these classic pieces. Today, I wanted to revisit a personal favorite of mine that spoke to me as a young creative stepping outside of a familiar world he knew for the very first time. About a stubborn yet troubled creative who's stepping out into the world of adulthood, trying to get out to the countryside to find a new purpose to himself, his art, and the world around him. A show that is near and dear to my heart as somebody who first started watching this at the beginning of my college career.
That's how old this show is.
That's how old this show is that I was watching the original Japanese simulcasts when I moved into a dorm freshman year and started college. That is kind of why Barakamon is a show that is near and dear to my heart.
Yay, Barakamon!
It is a show I discovered when I was first getting out there into the world and kind of starting to be independent and on my own. And it's very important to me because a lot of my college anime memories are associated with Dub Talk, because that was when I met you guys. That's when one Spaceman Hardy picked me up from a back alley of the smelly Funimation forums, which was a diabolical place with scum and villainy and people that are trying to give you drugs. Picked me up from that life, was like, hey, you're cool, get in.
Yeah, that was how a lot of people got involved with Dub Talk. Hardy going around in the van, be like, hey, you look cool. Hop in, we're going for a ride.
Hop in, loser. We're going Dub Talk podcasting.
We're going podcasting.
We're going podcasting, but yes. That's why I wanted to revisit this one, is because this is a show that's been near and dear to my heart. I always wanted it to get a dub. A few years after I had first seen it, it did get a dub. And we even covered the first...
It was probably the first 2 to 3 episodes.
I want to say 2 to 3 episodes,
The home video release had not come out at the time. So this is actually the first time we're talking about this show in full.
Definitely first time we're talking about a couple of these characters in particular, for sure. Yeah, this was, I think, the first one I immediately thought of when Steph brought up the retrospective project, and it's like, what's a show I would want to do? I had a couple that I would want to be a part of, but I think this was the first one I independently thought I want to be the one steering the,
proverbial ship?
There are no ships out here. This is,
the proverbial tractor, then.
Tractor! Yes, thank you.
He paints a whole ship in one episode.
This is true.
Oh, this is true. You forgot about that part.
This is true. But the ship isn't part of the business. It's just the dude's like, I got a nice boat. I want a nice name for my boat.
They also threw Mochi off of another boat in another episode.
That they did.
Andrew, what are you talking about? He's clearly a fisherman. It's 100% a part of his business.
Fair enough.
And that's not even getting into the main ship of the show. I mean, I think you Fujoshis out there know what I'm talking about.
Oh, god damn it.
Look,
we'll get to that.
Barakamon is secretly about the masculine urge to own a nice boat and tell your buddies, hey, nice boat.
Oh, Jesus. Nice.
For the record, no one out there listening to this should ever buy a boat. You want to know what a boat is? It is a hole that you throw money into. That's all it is.
Look, Noah, there are a lot of holes that you could throw money into. Some of them you need to get tested afterwards. But here's the thing.
Andrew!
The hole we have thrown ourselves into is a massive collection of physical media that makes moving a bitch.
Also true. That's also true.
That's not where I thought
We
you were
finally
going
only...
with this.
That's not where I thought either. But we also, considering we just finally unpacked all of the manga finally last week.
It's very nice.
Priorities. Nice.
I know.
Also, if I talked more about the hole that I plunged myself in and needed to get tested, I think I would get kicked out of my house.
Andrew, come over here and take the suppository already. Bring it back to the
So, I will say I have 2 repeat hosts, because Stephanie, I believe you were the one that hosted this episode originally.
I originally hosted this, and at the time it was myself, you, our good buddy over there, Noah Clue, and Megan who was a part of it originally.
But I believe Megan has decided to sit this one out and given a new student a chance to join calligraphy class.
Amon, yay!
So, Amon, what did you think? Or did you have any idea of what this show was outside of you knew people liked it?
Oh, I think I watched like the first 6 episodes of it back in the day. I just didn't remember anything about it.
Good a time as any to watch it.
Like, case in point, the only reason I remembered that is because my anime tracker told me, you said you watched 6 episodes of this, and like, I guess I did. Look,
the anime tracker basically, yeah.
Look, my grad school anime club spent a lot of time putting on anime that no one really watched. We just hung out while it happened in the background, so, you know.
That's fair.
That is kind of usually how it goes. Sometimes, the few times I did go to anime club, I was like, I actually kind of want to watch this. Why are people talking or snogging?
Anime club, we would watch stuff. It was great. We'd watch and like just sit and like watch and hang out. We would hang out and there would be some people chatting, but most people would just watch the show, whatever we had on at the time.
Okay, I'm going to say something extremely boomery for a second.
Oh,
Let me just say, what does a modern anime club look like in a post-TikTok world?
Oh, Christ.
If I had to guess...
I don't even know. I want to find out.
Well, you ever used an Oculus headset?
Oh, God, no.
I can't say I have. Where are you going with this?
So imagine you take your phone and you put it over a headset so that anything you see through it has sort of a 3D look to it. What you do is you then hook yourself up to a virtual reality classroom where you can kind of like move around the setting, kind of, like you're in another world that everyone is sharing together.
Are we creating a virtual reality anime club? Is that what you're about to tell me?
Because instead of watching, a shared screen that's broadcasting it, like what we sometimes do on our Discord, no, it's like there is a section of this 3-dimensional room that is showing the thing, and you're all watching it through there. So you're watching a screen through a screen. It's beautiful.
Thanks, I hate it.
Okay. To Noah's credit, he is being absurd and tech dystopian right now. But at the same time, in the environment and scenario you have created, you don't have to interact with that one kid in the club who has very poor hygiene. So you know what?
Or the other kid in the club that just wants to draw, like, hentai.
Or the kid that doesn't quite understand social cues enough and kind of makes people a little bit uncomfortable by standing just a little. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm painting a picture of my high school right now, but I feel like everybody's had that one experience.
You are telling on yourself hard, man. That poor kid, that last one, that guy needs experience. Like, he needs to be around people so he can learn those skills, you know?
Okay, in fairness, that story is less from an anime club and more from the time I was at a convention game room and there was a man with very noticeable pasta stains on his shirt that was telling me how to play the game, and I was like, please get away from me. Anyways, so, I think we are now in the perfect headspace to understand the anxious, insecure, introverted Seishu Honda. So I think it's time we talk about what Barakamon is about. Thank you, my love.
What's the show about? Because we've been talking for 15 minutes and haven't even mentioned what it is.
Let me
oh, shit.
I'll read the
I could have sworn I mentioned Barakamon.
You mentioned the Barakamon, name. You didn't tell us what the show is about.
But not the show.
No. Here,
damn it, okay.
I got the Blu-ray here. I'll just read the back.
No.
We have the Blu-ray too,
You sit your butt down. I know you're an eager class, class kiss ass?
So Barakamon is about 2 mangaka who decide
no.
making their own
I know what he's doing!
Oh, you son of a bitch!
Noah, you picked up the wrong case, Noah.
From the guy who made Death Note! From the guys who made Death Note!
No, we're not talking about sexism tonight. No, we're talking about Barakamon.
This is the quality of the jokes, people. Leave now while you still can.
Post in the comments if you got that reference.
It takes an island to raise a man. After an unfavorable critique drives uptight young calligrapher Seishu Honda past his breaking point, his parents decide to ship him off to Japan's Goto Islands to cool his head off. But instead of a peaceful paradise, Honda discovers a village full of quirky characters with little regard for his personal space. On top of that, Honda's temporary apartment has already been claimed as home base by the village elder's granddaughter, Naru, who has a knack for getting into trouble. Will Honda ever be able to redeem his impulsive misdeed? Will he ever be able to write like the masters? Will the village kids ever learn to knock? First, I realize what you're going to say. No, it is not actually the village daughter's granddaughter.
I'll say the village... Hold on, what?
No, it's not
Village
the
elders.
She's...
Naru is not the village leader. It's just an old guy who drives a tractor around. Granddaughter.
He's a farmer. Okay, I was gonna say, like,
it's basically
I was
she
gonna
is
get
the
to that.
town, like a kid adopted by the town itself.
Yeah,
is the way to describe
basically.
it. But yeah, there's a lot of like country neighbors that just kind of like invade his space as he's trying to find himself as an artist.
And yet that whole
This-
town could not teach the poor girl how to do pigtails correctly.
Hey, it
She's
looks good
only
on her.
She's only 7. Cut her some slack.
That's true. Ruby does not want to put pigtails on herself, so we have to do it for her, even though it's
I
kind of
say
necessary.
she's only 7, and the only family like adult figure she has is her grandpa. Cut her some slack.
I will also mention that this is going to be a discussion of the dub, but I will say I will recommend the Japanese of this show is equally as good as well. This was, I think, my first real introduction to Daisuke Ono, who plays Honda.
Really?
This
And
was?
the thing that
Oh, wow.
This was really.
Yes, and I believe, like, in Japanese, the children in this were played by, like, actual young
kids.
children,
Mhm.
which always stuck out to me, because even back then, when I didn't watch a lot of Japanese anime, I knew that these were adult women. So I always thought that was in... No,
In Japan,
I mean,
too.
in most Japanese anime, where there are little anime girls, they are played by Japanese women. So when I watched Barakamon, I was like, oh... Naru sounds like a little girl, for real, for real. That kind of, like, always, like, stuck out to me as really interesting. I just wanted to give a quick shout out because I did like that. Especially really funny because Daisuke Ono, I always associate with, like, the big, gruff, badasses Jotaro Kujo types.
Mm-hmm.
And here he is playing the neurotic, what's imposter syndrome,
Yep.
#mood character.
Yes.
But yes. So, Barakamon has an English dub. One we have talked about in part,
Yep.
but never in whole.
Yep.
We only gave you a first draft, and now it is time, after all these years, to give you the finished piece.
We're not satisfied with our work like Honda did with his Stars calligraphy piece. And threw a bunch of tea on it.
That was just a practice run.
It took us almost a decade to finish this, so you can probably just call us George R.R. Martin tonight.
God!
Hey.
He's
At
not
least
even
we
done!
finished this.
At least you see? See?
It ain't over till we hit end recording. So give or take us 2 hours, and then we will see if we have beaten George R.R. Martin.
Anyway.
So, let's talk about the ADR crew for this particular artistic piece. The ADR director, the assistant ADR director, and the scriptwriter for the dub of Barakamon. The dub was directed by Mike McFarland, assisted by Felicia Angel, and the script was written by Clint Bickham. Mike McFarland you'll know for such dubs as Summer Wars, Wolf Children, Eden of the East, One Piece, and...
The show that almost made Andrew drink Windex. If y'all... That's a deep cut.
That's
Y'all
a deep
remember this.
cut. He did also direct Honda-kun. Let's...
Which is the weird, like, pseudo-prequel to Barakamon.
Wait, Honda-kun's the thing that started the Windex joke? Or am I misunderstanding that?
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
Amon, let me get through my introductions,
All right,
and
I'm
let's
sorry.
have us a trip down memory lane.
Okay, continue.
It's a great story. It's a great story.
So, the assistant ADR, Felicia Angel, has directed shows, or assisted on shows such as Nichijou, My Ordinary Life, My Roommate is a Cat, Kona Ototomare, Sounds of Life, Boogie Pop and Others, and Citrus. And Clint Bingham has written for shows such as Token Ranbu Hanamaru, Golden Cowboy, Heavy Object, which is how I first became acquainted with this podcast, Sarazan Mai, and The Seven Mortal Sins. So, I want to continue a trend that Steph brought to my attention last time she did one of these, and make all of these characters' previous works, previous episodes we've done for Dub Talk.
Yep.
So I'm continuing that theme for at least the second episode.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. Amon, let me tell you about the Windex thing.
Please do.
So...
By the way, this episode is brought to you by Windex. Yes, you can go...
Shut the fuck up. Okay. So, Barakamon is a show that is near and dear to my heart. It's why we're talking about it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Honda-kun is not the show I wanted after wanting more Barakamon in my life.
It exists.
So when we covered the Honda-kun episode, I basically went in... Let's put it like this. I'm not a naturally negative person, but let's say I went into the Honda-kun Dub Talk many years ago with an attitude of sour grapes.
Yes.
Everybody... That was also back when we were not banned from drinking on recording. That was a long time ago, and we could just record and drink at the same time.
And also, Andrew was not the drinking age of 21.
I was not a legal drinking adult then. I did not have alcohol available to me or in front of me. So when I recorded it at home, I looked at the nearest thing that was on my desk that was a drink or look of a liquid substance. So I didn't have any water in front of me. I didn't have any alcohol in front of me, but there was like a spray bottle of Windex. I'm like, I have Windex. I can drink that. Maybe that'll help ease the pain.
Andrew, that'll
And
make
all
you
of
go
us-
blind. Don't do
All
that.
of us.
will
All of us.
alleviate the
Because I
pain.
think this was also still the Barakamon group who did Honda-kun, if I remember right.
think
We're all
so.
like, we were like, do not drink the Windex, Andrew. Please don't.
I'm glad that Amon genuinely did not know the origins to the Windex, but I'm glad that he now is aware of why that came to be.
Incidentally, would this be a good time to share my crackpot theory about how Honda-kun came into existence?
Please,
I
want to
would,
know.
because you watched all Barakamon, and I basically told you, if you have some extra time, please watch Honda-kun so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. Because I feel like you are a more empathetic person, or at least a little more understanding nowadays compared to how I was back in the day.
He recommended I watch some Honda-kun. I only got a chance to watch the first episode, but I did give it a look out to finish Barakamon. And what I'm about to say is not based on any kind of actual information. It is pure speculation just based on what I saw in front of me and a little bit of knowledge about how the manga industry tends to work. The short version is that I would bet you $5 that what became Honda-kun started as a completely unrelated series that the author came up with that was sort of a proto-Kobe can't communicate story about the cool person in the high school not realizing they're the cool popular person in the high school. They brought this to their editor. The editor said, I kind of like this. I think it might need a little bit of juice. Let's make it a Honda-kun spin-off. And since it's in high school, they're like, let's make it a prequel.
boy.
The author not have, like, what else are they going to be doing? It's like, all right, sure, fine. I get to get my comic out. Because tonally it makes no sense. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense in the context of what that character seems like he would have been as a teenager. My arbitrary guess is that I don't think this was supposed to be related to Barakamon and just got Honda-kun stuck in there for marketing purposes.
That's possible.
I'm inclined, like, as soon as you brought that theory to my attention, I did genuinely think, okay, he might have a point. But at the same time, it literally is just this, it just is so completely foreign as a product compared to Barakamon as a series that it just feels almost alien.
Yes.
It's so weird.
I did, however...
I haven't watched it in forever. It's so weird, though.
I did confirm.
What'd you confirm?
Well, I did have one other suspicion, but I confirmed that one was true, which is basically I looked up the manga to make sure that this wasn't a 4 coma, because if it was a 4 coma, it's like, okay, I see what happened here. These idiots treated the joke spin-off like a real spin-off. But no, it's like a manga, but it's even from that bit, it's like, I don't think this is supposed to be starring Honda Code. This feels like it was supposed to star some other dude.
Probably.
The fact that you told me you're like, this predates Comey Can't Communicate, and I'm like, oh my god, the bit really is Comey Can't Communicate.
Yeah,
it's Comey Can't Communicate with a guy, like, and there's less romance, I assume.
Oh god.
Or the romance is that the big-faced girl thinks he likes her or something. I don't know.
It's 100% less romance in the show.
I think it's like, I feel like if somebody told me Honda-kun was non-canon straight up, I would be less upset.
Mm-hmm.
But Barakamon literally is like diametrically opposed to what Honda-kun is going for. I'm not going to spend all night shitting on Honda-kun because I'm older and wiser, and I don't mean to beat down on things that I don't want to. I do like the Honda-kun ED. I do think it's catchy. I do think that's a catchy ED.
I like the ending song. 5 out of 5 stars.
But, like, it is such an alien show that literally does not feel like it belongs in the same universe as Barakamon, because Sei Honda physically cannot grow as a character because this is high school, neurotic, sheltered artist kid. And the reality is, he can't be a better character until he grows up and punches that old man in the face.
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah.
And that's why I think Barakamon is such an interesting thing to watch, especially as somebody who is older now. I watch Barakamon as somebody who just started, like, the fucking humanities creative art major in college. Now I am somebody who has been graduated. I graduated in 2018, and it has been 7 years since I graduated college, which I'm sure to everybody else in this call right now, they hear that and want to fucking die.
I do want to die a little on the inside. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm glad I can make you all feel old and decrepit and dying.
Anyway, let's talk about Barakamon, Andrew, instead of us being old as fuck.
But I feel like Barakamon is a series where the heart and soul of it is somebody who is so stuck in his way, so rigid, and, like, stubborn as a person learning to grow into what they want to be.
Well, it's a little...
Grow into...
Well, have you ever seen Criminal Minds, the TV show?
No.
Okay.
I have not. Where are we going with Criminal Minds?
There is a character in that show who was like a child genius, and this is all a show about like forensic investigators, you know. But a lot of the arc of that character, who was like a child genius and is now grown up to be like a young adult, is that, you know, he's not a genius by adult standards so much anymore. He's still smart, but because he was so praised at a young age and being so, you know, you're so special and so awesome, when you get older, you hit the wall of mediocrity. And because you've been dealt with nothing but praise for so long, you don't know how to get over that. And I think a lot of us who maybe were like told we were gifted as kids, or kind of cruised through our education.
Oh, like, Sei Honda is absolutely a thesis about the gifted kid syndrome.
Right. And he's not... I mean, I guess Your Lie in April kind of covered this a little bit as well, though that was a little more dramatic.
That's true.
This is more about someone who's just, you know, he's gotten where he has in life, coasting on the skills he's known, but now he doesn't know where to go from that. So he has to go to an entirely different surrounding to break him out of that. I don't know why his dad decided a city in the middle of nowhere was the place to do that, but I suppose it makes for a good story, so I'm not complaining.
If nothing else, I think...
we know why he sent him there.
We do know why,
Because the dad did the same fucking thing when he was a kid.
I think
that's right.
I think the dad... They implied that the dad might have actually grown up there. That's the thing I wasn't
know.
100% sure.
I don't know if
Yeah.
they implied that he grew up there, but he did do something similar.
But he had a relationship with the village and the village leader, and that's why he's like, this is genuinely a place that made me a better person,
Right.
and I think it would do him good as well.
Yeah, that's why he did it.
And I would definitely say Barakamon is less about a story about, like, Your Line, April, I think is more about a much more troubled and, like, almost abusive relationship with the gifted child and his family, and I think Barakamon, it is a family that, like, loves him, but it is very clear that they are, like, neurotic and suffocating him with anxiety.
Yeah.
I say this, like, I literally, like, look at, like, his own mother, and I'm like, oh, I recognize having a mom that loves me, but is also a little... Some of those insecurities get latched onto me by proxy.
Would you consider his Honda's mom to be a helicopter parent, or maybe I'm using the incorrect term for this?
I don't think that's... The helicopter parent is someone who... Yeah, I know where you're going with this. The kind who... who babies them so much and says, like, you can't have candy, or you can't... hurt yourself.
It's probably the wrong term I'm using, but you see where I'm going with it.
It's that level of, like, hyper-protectiveness. Like, she literally sees a basket of, like, treats that the village gave him, and she thinks the kids are bullying him because they mailed him snacks.
Yeah, there is a world of diagnosis. Go ahead.
It's at the very least, it's very much an instance of, here we have an extremely high-strung parent. And unfortunately, they have bequeathed their high-strungness onto their child, whether they wanted it to or not.
There's the one moment the mom gets angry, and Kawafuji's just sitting there, is like, well, we know where he gets his temper from.
I think it's, like, also it's clear that it's, like, the wall Honda hit is that he's basically been a sheltered kid that didn't really get to be a kid. Also just kind of, like... Also be somebody who was never really challenged either. Mm-hmm. So, in an environment where he grew up 20 plus years hearing how gifted, talented, how much of a bright and upcoming artistic talent, how he's going to change the world, how the world is better with him in it, that the second a man tells him he is textbook mediocrity that's only there to score points without saying anything of merit, his first thought is to punch that motherfucker in the face.
Andrew.
And kick him.
I just figured out what show this reminds me of more. More than Your Line, April. This is calligraphy. March comes in like a lion.
Oh my fucking god.
I still haven't watched March, but I have a feeling.
We will fix that.
You still need the last set, though. You still need the last set. He's mad right now. So, no. I have to explain this for the folks at home. Before it went out of print, Andrew was like trying to buy the sets from Aniplex for March Comes In Like a Lion, but he waited too long.
I was at work and Volume 4 was already gone and sold out!
He got the first 3.
This is what...
He has 3 out of the 4, but the 4th one was
Don't you wave your finger at me, you motherfucker! I'm the one that told you, dang, maybe you shouldn't binge March Comes In Like a Lion in one fucking day. It's a bad show to do that for! Guess what you fucking did, Noah? Guess what you fucking did? Guess what you did?
Do you want to have a talk? Like, do you want to have, like, can we go out for tea or
talk
about your problems?
Oh, that was the emotion that Sei Honda had when he got told that his work was mediocre. I basically just punched you and threw my shoe at you, but it felt like you were kicking me when I was down. That's the level of explosive emotion that I'm trying to convey to the audience.
This episode reminded me of a whole lot of memories from the last 10 years. It's been a good 10 years, folks.
Christ.
But
oh my god!
Probably.
I haven't even talked about the dub! The dub's good! Amon, please take the reins, please, sir.
This dub is a goddamn delight. I think the first moment that I like was really enjoying this is when he first gets to the island and the grandpa shows up and he's borderline incomprehensible. Because
Yes.
he's not like Boomhauer from King of the Hill, where they're going for sort of a similar like rural accent that if you're not used to hearing it, it is just, I'm sorry, what? What is that? I didn't quite catch what that was supposed to mean.
You got him looking at them waves there, my daughters, and you didn't do the ink there, so you gotta get some fish and want some noodles.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
He gets it. No, this is a very fun dub, and for a lot of reasons. Like, part of it is that I think it does a good job of making the children sound like children, both in the sense that the actors sound like children, but also like they are written like these sound like kids. Not like real little kids, but like little enough that they're all a little too hyper for their own good and don't have a lot of good impulse control.
It's always interesting when you have an author that is writing kids, and it's always... I will say this, as somebody who does not have children of my own, I would like to turn this one to somebody who has sired multiple little gremlins that he lives with. Noah, does this show feel like real kids?
I'm glad you asked that, because in rewatching this, I thought to myself, when this show came out, Oliver was only 2 years old when I had first watched it. And so
Oh my God.
base for the... Yes, to give people another sense of how old we are, my oldest son, Oliver, is going to be turning 12 in a couple of months. But when we first...
Fuck you.
Were any of the other kids a thought at that point, or no? I'm trying to like get more frame of reference here.
No, because I watched the show in 2015, probably with the dub as it was coming out, and this was pre-Ruby, this was pre-Leo, this was even before we knew that we were going to have Audrey.
Having Audrey?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So to answer your question about does this capture the chaoticness of little kids, yes, unfortunately so. Particularly in the was it the bald-headed kid who is constantly trying to poke people in the butt, and how the parents have just absolutely given up on trying to keep them in line anymore. And not to say that my own kids are, unmanageable. They absolutely are. But you can tell that we have to go through the process of getting the impulses out of your system before you stop and realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. And
There are battles to win and there are battles to lose, and you empathize with the parents that this is a losing battle.
I will say that I tried to think, like, is Ruby like Naru in the sense of, being... very out of control, but also being like so happy to be around everyone all the time. I think there's a good sense of that being captured, and we can talk about this more when we get to Naro. But we know that the English voice actor took a lot of inspiration from her own child when crafting the energy of that character. I do think
I believe it.
I think that whoever wrote this had like a sense of trying to capture the chaoticness of children without the more sadistic side of them. That this is acceptable, but kids can be even more of a gremlin.
I feel like Clint's script is while it is pretty straightforward, you are correct. It does capture some of the chaotic nature of kids very, very well. And I'm just looking at the credits like Andrew brought up, and it's a wide range of like really simple, straightforward, like more dramatic pieces, and then you have chaos pieces like Seven Mortal Sins.
I didn't even
Golden Kamui.
I even left off like the big part of his career is the fact that he's like the main writer of the One Piece dub now.
Yeah,
which is like a little bit of every single genre and then some in between. In one episode, we are going to break your fucking heart over like Bane breaking Batman's back. In another one, here's Luffy with a couple of little fucking freaky guys and like, hey, you're cool, let's hang out.
No, but I think the script, it while it's pretty straightforward, it captures the chaotic, childlike nature of all these kids. And at the same time, because I know, Andrew, you brought it up very briefly, but it has some interesting themes of like creative burnout, imposter syndrome, the anxiety of being a perfectionist, things like that. And those dramatic pieces also come through very, very well. I feel like, in the writing and in the directing, too.
The other fucked up part is recognizing the older you get, the more...
You relate to this.
The more I relate to this.
I relate to this
and the
a lot.
more I recognize those Japanese country tourist boards are diabolical. Because the older you get, the more you realize... You know, maybe that quiet country life might not be so bad after all. And it's like, oh no, oh no.
Listen.
Am I getting older?
Listen. I grew up in the middle of bumfuck nowhere in Maine, right?
Oh, that's a great city.
I know, it's great, it's lovely. I wanted to get out of there so fucking fast, it's not even funny. But, like, the older I got and the longer I've been away from home, it's one of those things, I've had a discussion with you before, Andrew, where I appreciate having that quiet moment too. So it's always nice to be able to come home and just decompress and be like, oh, this is nice. I remember this, and like, oh, this has changed. It's kind of weird now because, like, my childhood home is gone because my mom moved, but it's still nice to come home and, like, see things and get, like, that calming, like, fresh perspective sometimes.
But I think it is clear that, like, there is a lot of ways to, like, center yourself and discover what you want in life, and I think that is a lot of what Barakamon is about. Even in a niche, like, thing like Japanese calligraphy, the artistic struggle, burnout, anxieties, and self-fulfillment of, say, Honda is very relatable, and I think the dub cast, the crew, everybody captures the heart and soul that goes into the capturing the creative fulfillment and struggle, while also being a really heartfelt, funny, cute little show taking place in the Japanese countryside, starring little children and a man effectively learning to grow up.
That setting of it being in the Japanese countryside brings up a good point that I don't think we talked too much about in our original episode, which is the characters don't all have a country twang to them, but the older characters definitely do. And did it bug anyone else that the country isms were kind of inconsistent amongst the island villagers?
I think it's clear. I think it's clear that there are, like I said, it's always tricky to capture the quote-unquote Kansai dialect in an English dub, which that defaults to, like, American Southern twang.
The other part of it, though, I feel like, and I don't know if you guys notice this too.
I'm also willing to believe that there are some accents and some locations where people don't understand their own accents.
There is that one scene in the shop where that happened.
Mm-hmm.
You have the two women, like, talking to each other and they're like, what? But anyway,
Stitch.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys noticed this, or maybe it was something I picked up on. We were talking about how in the beginning, when Naru's grandpa first meets Honda, and Honda can't understand a fucking word he's saying. But as the show goes on, not only, I feel like the dialect and the accents that were used kind of, like, lessened and lessened the more Honda is able to understand what they're saying. Thereby the audience getting a chance to understand what they're saying more and more as Honda has grown more accustomed to life on the island. I didn't really pick up on it the first couple times I watched it, but I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, I don't quite understand what they're going for here. And then you kind of start slowly understanding more and more as Honda is starting to understand them more and more. And I think it's a very, if that was a purposeful choice, I think it's actually kind of a clever one in that sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it'd be charitable to say that was the intention, that we, the audience, understand the dialects more as the show goes on. To me, it seemed more like, as they go along, they just made less of an effort to have the actors break up their own natural speaking pattern to put on this affectation.
That could also be true.
I want to be charitable because obviously we're very sad that we're talking about a show that was dubbed by a studio that is unfortunately no longer with us, but that seems to be the impetus behind that lessening of the dialect as the show goes on.
Corporate greed is a son of a bitch.
Oh, I got corporate things to bitch about the corporations here in a bit.
Oh, trust me. I think I'm going to save a lot of that for final thoughts, but I will say the dub itself is a wonderful dub. I've only appreciated this dub more with age, and I feel like coming back to the show is the equivalent of, okay, Noah, I'm going to do something that I know you hate, but bear with me for this.
Okay.
You're not gonna
talk
about Seth MacFarlane, are you?
No.
Okay, then proceed.
I'm going to talk about Disney.
Oh, that's the other thing you hate.
Okay.
I don't. Not
Okay.
I'll see where you're going with this.
You don't hate Disney, you just disagree with some of their stuff.
Coming back and returning to Barakamon is the scene of the critic eating the ratatouille and being transported back to his childhood home. That
interesting.
is what returning to cover the dub of Barakamon has felt like for me.
That's good to know.
And that's where I'm going to go with this there. So, let's talk about a couple of characters in the show. Let's talk about a couple of the neighborhood kids, his handler / childhood friend Kawafuji, and his rival / mom
fanboy
/ the BDSM femboy his mom is very worried about tying up.
Honda just wanted us to be tied up as little girls, and he said nothing else would.
Oh, I cackled like a hyena. I forgot about that part.
He lost his shit.
It's like, oh, it's so good. All right. So, and a couple of the kids. We got Hina Kabuto. She's a good little bean who cries all the time. We got Kentaro Oma, who is a shaven head kid who stabs people in the butt and really likes beetles.
He's a Naruto wannabe.
He's a Naruto. And then there's Akihiko Arai, which is Tamako Arai's younger brother, who's a good kid that manages to hang out with all the neighborhood bullies next door, and is also good at games and telephones. Play. Yep.
I'm sorry, you reminded me of something I find very funny.
Okay.
I gotta know. What?
Yeah, what?
Have any of you seen Flight of the Conchords?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god,
Right.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Right. There's a joke in one episode where they get a care package from one of their moms, and it has like a VHS recording of like some shows from back home. And one of them is a fake PSA, which now that I've seen it more recently, is very clearly stars Taika Waititi, which apparently appears to be a PSA for using phones, because New Zealand is so backwater that they need to encourage phone use. And it's just Taika Waititi going, with telephones, you make the call. This is, in my opinion, this is one of like the top 5 funniest things anyone's ever written, and it now occurs to me that like, oh my god, it's just that, but actually, like, it's not. It's a joke, but it's not a joke.
It's not a joke because that is kind of what the backwater.
It's so rural that they like no one has an actual phone. They just go to the store, and half of them don't know how to use a ring thing because they don't use phones, so he has to do it for them.
Old rotary phone. Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. That's great.
That's funny.
Children at home, do you know how to use a rotary phone? If not, you should figure it out.
The kids these days know how to use vinyl records. I'm sure they know how to use a rotary phone.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't have that much faith on
you
kids.
dumb fucking Zoomers don't know how to use a rotary phone. Haha.
Okay,
yeah,
come on.
Do you know how to use a rotary phone, Andrew?
What? Well, of course.
Wait, Andrew, do you know what a Rolodex is?
Reference. Noah, I don't want to make an orphan of your children, but I will if I have to.
But Andrew, do you know what a Rolodex is?
Go for it. I did not invite you people to attack me like this. I asked you to share in this beautiful, artistic, creative... Fuck you. Fuck me.
So Andrew, a Rolodex is a watch, right?
Playing the role of Kentaro Oma, Akihiko Arai, and Hina Kabuto. Oma is played by Leah Clark. Akihiko Arai is Morgan Berry. Hina Kabuto is Laura Woodhull. Kosuke Kanzaki is Austin Tyndall.
You've
and
never
Takuko
talked
Kawafuji is Duncan Brannon.
You didn't even talk about Kawafuji and Kanzaki. You just talked about the kids.
I did mention them.
But you didn't really talk about who they are, but alright.
Exactly. I mentioned who they were. You were too busy picking on me.
Oh, we're gonna be here all night then.
He did describe them. I do remember that.
Okay, fine.
Alright. Akihiko Arai, Morgan Berry has played characters such as Ubel from Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Susune from Maria the Virgin Witch, Yohane from Love Live Sunshine, Santa from Megalobox, and Tomoko Kase from Kase-san and Morning Glories. Leah Clark has played characters such as Mavis Vermillion in Fairy Tail Zero, Minami Toba, aka Miss Chug in Laid Back Camp, Kobayashi in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Yun Ijima in New Game, and Mio Naganohara in Nichijou My Ordinary Life. Laura Woodhull has played characters such as Hinami Fueguchi in Tokyo Ghoul, Clarion in Pandora in the Crimson Shell, young Izuku Midoriya in My Hero Academia, Yu Ebina in Hanabado, and Kosuri Onigashira in Shimoneta. Duncan Brannon has played characters such as Thomas Wagner in Attack on Titan, Mr. 3 in One Piece, and Norito Goshi in Seraph of the End. And Austin Tyndall has played Ruth in The Ancient Magus Bride, Gabiru in That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Tsukasa Yugi in Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, Ken Kaneki in Tokyo Ghoul, and Subaru Mikazuki in My Roommate is a Cat.
You forgot the most important one for Duncan Brennan.
What's the most important one for Duncan Brennan?
He was gonna be a lord, and then he got high.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's such a fucking deep cut.
He was also Brecker, the asshole, from a couple episodes from Snow White and the Red Hair.
Wow, we're bringing back all the deep cut references tonight. Holy shit.
Sure fucking are.
Well played. I also noticed that there's just a random N in Austin Tyndall's character list, and I recognize how that got there because Lily just climbed on my laptop this morning and just decided to say hi.
Ah, yay. It's not a full Dub Talk episode until the cat messes things up.
True facts.
Oh, I love those cats. They're great. She's gotten so big, it's scary.
Wait, Andrew.
Also,
you
you're
don't have an
incorrect
allergy to
that
cats,
Duncan
do you?
Brennan's retired.
I don't thankfully, I did not find out I had an allergy to a cat before adopting one into my home.
Now we have two. Also, because Andrew and I were talking about this earlier, Duncan Brennan is technically not retired.
Okay.
He's in Dragon Ball Daima, bud.
Okay, I never said he was retired. I said he stepped down from Mr. 3 in One Piece, which is now currently being played by Sean
You
Kaye.
use the words retired, though.
Okay, you don't need to call my ass out like that, Stephanie!
Look,
Too
Stephanie.
late, bitch!
Stephanie, look, he's old, okay?
Yes.
We have to give him a little leeway, all right? You know, the age is catching up with him. We can't expect him to be right all the time.
I'm gonna lose my bending very soon. I would hope you would be supportive of me in this difficult time.
Andrew, I lost my bending a while ago. You think I'm gonna be sympathetic for when you lose your bending? Hell nah.
I thought in the Avatar universe, you never lost it. You could still have it even when you're old.
We're not playing by Avatar rules, Noah.
Look, Boomy was still a badass at like 110, okay?
It's true.
I still need to watch Avatar.
Look, we can help each other.
Who are you,
Yeah.
and what year did you grow up in?
Well, my name is Stephanie. I'm a 90s kid.
Okay, we'll get to that later. One crisis at a time here.
Listen, I know you bought me at the whole thing of fucking Avatar. I will get to it.
Anyways, I think this conversation about bending is over, so we're done bending over, okay?
Oh my fucking Christ, someone take this microphone from him. Oh wait, I can do that.
Yes, I'll bend you over later. That's fine.
Andrew!
Anyway.
Okay,
Anyways,
so the characters in this group, they're totally fine. There's a nice mix of younger characters, like younger voicing characters in here. I remember in the original episode of talking about the show that I made a qualm about they didn't get children to voice the kid characters in the show. And we were
Yeah,
like, well,
you
you know,
did.
that's not really viable in the anime dubbing world, that unless it's like a movie usually. You know, for TV shows, you have actresses on staff who can sound like little kids convincingly and don't have limitations about the number of hours they can work in a day. Returning to this, I agree. Like, I'm not really cynical about that as much anymore. And honestly, they sound fine. Like, I love Leah's enthusiasm. I love Laura's getting to just not just scream, but when she has to be like soft-spoken as well, she's like, I got this hook tied on. Do you want this, sensei? Like, that's very cute. And honestly...
Also, she's really good at the explosive crying and just
Yes.
slamming her fucking head into the ground.
But she is. I mean, it's a little unfortunate that she's such a one-note character, because, like, we're not going to talk about these characters too much. They just kind of fill in the background. But for that one
Also,
note,
do they maybe have more in the manga? It's possible they have more in the manga. I have not read the manga.
I feel like it is possible because, at least based on release dates, about half of the manga came out after the show.
then probably. Also, I will complain just a tiny bit, actually a lot of bit, about Crunchyroll's goddamn subtitles. Because even though I have the home video,
Oh boy.
because for some reason when they say the
Wait,
name,
no. What subtitles?
the auto-generated ones who don't know that you spell Hina with an H and not a G. Because every time they say the name Hina in the show, the auto-generated subtitles say G-I-N-A. They think it's Gina and not Hina.
What?
Like, Crunchyroll, get your act together.
I want you to know that is still not as bad as the auto-generated subs, the auto-generated closed captions for Excel Saga, which at some point they just give up. At some point they just give up.
You see, that I want to watch. I want to see it struggle and try to figure out what the hell's going on in Excel Saga.
You know what, Amon?
Time.
If you got 30 minutes tonight, just put on the first episode and look up at how many times they misspell Lord Il Palazzo.
I'm imagining that bit in that one Guy Ritchie movie where Brad Pitt has an incomprehensible accent, and eventually the subtitles explaining what he's saying just resort to question marks because they don't actually know what he's saying anymore either.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, basically.
I imagine the subtitles for that episode, just at the end, they're like, I give up. Like, verbally say, fuck it, I give up.
But yeah, closed captions and especially sign subs
signals
are extremely important for a show like Barakamon, which is about highly Japanese calligraphy, where especially like the meanings of the characters is highly important to the pieces in question.
Which raises the question. So, in the original Funimation, when they dubbed this, they assumed that what was written in kanji would be translated on the screen for the person watching it. That they would not have to have people in the show saying what the words were in case you weren't reading the screen at all. Would it have been expected that they should have done that? Like, should they have had, like, a character off screen, like, when it says stars? Like, oh, stars!
I don't think that's true, because I'll be honest, there are shows that even nowadays still are dependent on what is on the screen and what the services translate.
Yes.
To be understood.
Yes.
I think there are some shows where they do a fine job with that. I just mentioned Laid Back Camp for Leah Clark, where it's like that show does a really good job most of the time speaking their text messages, but also you do still need to understand what their text messages say.
Yeah.
And if you don't translate that, some important stuff is lost.
Yeah, and for shows like Durarara, for example, like originally in the show, they would say the text messages out loud instead of making you read a wall of text. And yeah, I agree.
To be fair, for Durarara especially, if they didn't say Celti's text messages, Kari Walgren would almost have no sessions.
We don't want that. But
exactly.
Yeah, so, but bottom line, Crunchyroll, we know you have the ability to translate the on-screen text, because if you switch over to Japanese audio on your service, the closed captioning includes translations for the signs. Why is that not a default setting if you are watching it in English?
Hey, Crunchyroll. Hey, Crunchyroll, you know what you could have used as a basis for your shit? The fucking Funimation home release.
I'm just, my understanding A lot of this is born of the fact that the Crunchyroll's back end is severely antiquated, and if you out there work at Crunchyroll, I just leave a comment and let me know who do I have to stab to get this funded. I will go to jail for it. I'm just offering that right now. So if you give me a name and a vague location, I will take care of it.
Oh, Amon, you're threatening violence. I'm so proud of you.
Amon, will you be the Luigi of the anime community? Is that what you're saying?
Oh my god.
I'm thinking less Luigi and more that guy that ended up ganking Whitey Bulger. More along those lines.
This is not where I thought a Barakamon episode was going to go. I know it starts with violence, but damn.
Amon, you make your city proud.
Hey.
What's up?
Laura, Leah, and Morgan are very good performances. They're very good as these little kids, and I enjoy them a lot. There's more to talk about with Duncan and Austin, I do agree.
Yeah, can I just say those kids are precious. I want to quickly talk about Morgan, though, as Aki, because for some fucking reason, the running gag with Aki is that he's the most mature kid in the room, to the point where Honda is like, Honda will like gets encouragement and gets like emotional, almost like therapy from Aki sometimes. Like on the phone when he's back in Tokyo, he's like, "Yeah, I'm doing okay. I appreciate you asking me about my emotional well-being, though." Because Aki's the only one asking him about how he's doing and how about him being stressed out about the exhibit. He's the only one. So
some good
Morgan
dry
has
humor
fun with
there.
that. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I also want to highlight, I like that Morgan does a good job of going with the bit at the beginning where Akihiko just looks like the male version of his sister. Morgan does a very good job of sounding just like doing the masculine version of the performance that Tomoko's actress gives, which I think is a nice touch they didn't need to bother with, but I think it works.
Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of lauding praise on people, I want to give kudos to Austin. Because he captures something really important about Kosuke, which is if you meet a guy like Kosuke, you spend about 2 minutes talking with him, and then you are overcome with the undeniable urge to shove him in a locker. And I feel like Austin does that really well. I really want to shove this kid in a locker.
I love it so much. That's the greatest description you could ever have. Oh my god, I love it.
Twink.
I know, but I talk to him, and my instinct is you were insufficiently bullied when you were younger, and it has been bad for you.
Amon, I'm not
saying you should be bullied a lot, but a little conflict would have been good for you. Just a little.
Amon, without irony and full sincerity, I want that twink obliterated.
Shit. Oh man, no, I agree. Austin is fucking great because he's not just seen as the rival character for Honda in the show, but also this kid got into being a calligrapher because of Honda. So he's probably to the point of he would probably call himself self-describe himself as his number one fan, right? This kid is obsessed.
He's the Incrediboy of this universe.
Yes, correct. He this kid is so obsessed to the point where he has a little tape recorder, one of those pocket recorders, and he's like, "Can you say that quote again? That I didn't catch it. It was so cool."
I also think that it is very clear that he means well, but it is definitely clearly a I'll say this: the things Kanzuki says to Honda so directly are things I would literally if I was behind Kosuke at a convention Q&A panel and he is talking to a voice actor or a creator I like about how he's not doing his new work like his old work, I would want to fucking die. That's the way he's talking to Honda, and he reminds me of that one guy in the convention Q&A panel line where you're like, shut the fuck up, please shut the fuck up, please shut the fuck up, move along, shut the fuck up.
He's the reason why we have the virtual anime club, so you don't have to directly contact with them.
I don't think Kosuke smells like BO and like
No,
Doritos.
No, he's well groomed.
But he's
socially
definitely the one that doesn't take social cues. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The socially awkward one.
He's the one who has a comment more than a question.
Yes.
Yes.
I wrote an essay.
Oh my
I
god!
wrote an essay.
Oh, he is the guy who writes the essays in the Facebook Messenger.
Kosuke, this is an Arby's.
Kosuke, this is not a Wendy's.
I think the most impressive thing to me about Austin is that Austin just does such an incredible job making him sound like such a little bitch.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not too surprised by it
also
anymore.
and such a whiny little bitch too.
Such a whiny
Because he does not want to be on that island any longer than he needs to be.
It's very clear that you can tell, like, he is.
What?
Look, I know
Your brain is thinking.
Look, I know he's Japanese, and I know he is a Japanese character in a Japanese artistic field and medium.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
I'm saying he is the white boy that would complain about the potato salad being too salty.
He does have that aura
Wow.
of aggressive basicness about him. You are correct.
Well then.
I love having a serious, in-depth discussion about a dub and its characters, and it basically just evolves around to dick smashing these characters from orbit.
But
Which, to be fair, Kanzaki deserves it.
he's a necessary character. Like, it does feel like without that sense of reminding you like what got you into calligraphy in the first place, you know, that fanboy enthusiasm for it, that
I also think it's clear that he exists as like a younger driving force to push him, which I think is something that he needs in his life. It just doesn't necessarily need to have been a fanboy.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
funnier this way.
You're correct. Here's the thing. Barakamon is a sillier show than I think I remembered it being.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered it being funny, but it is very funny, which is why Honda-kun feels so baffling.
Yeah, they went in all on the goofiness and none of the heartfelt parts.
Right.
I was going to say that Barakamon is a silly show, but it feels like a silly show that you would watch as, like, early season family sitcom, and not season 8 or 9, we have jumped the shark, we don't give a shit anymore, Family Matters sitcom. Which is what Honda-kun kind of exists in.
One's like a Norman Lear sitcom, and the other one's the spin-off where they've gone to space already.
Correct. Exactly.
I understood that.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you, Noah.
Norman Lear's awesome.
Indeed.
And I guess in turn, the other character who is also in Honda-kun, which makes that whole relationship interesting in and of
Oh,
itself.
good old Kawafuji.
Kawafuji, just being his buddy from school, who's just kind of like a... It's very clear that there are artistic types and there are business types. Mm-hmm. It is clear that without Kawafuji, Honda would be a starving artist through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clear that it's Honda would have been the perfectionist who doubts his work, and he's like, this is shit, this is garbage, this is terrible. And Kawafuji's like, hey, that looks alright, let's sell it.
Yeah, I almost don't want to give Takako too much credit, because I don't really like shows that kind of glorify the business manager side of it. Like, I don't think I've talked about this on recording before. I really hate the movie Sing. Have you guys ever seen that Illumination movie?
I want to say I either have seen it or parts of it.
Okay, so this is going back to your distaste for Seth MacFarlane. Got it.
There is no Seth MacFarlane in Sing whatsoever.
What the fuck are you talking about? Hang on.
There it is.
Sing?
Seth MacFarlane's in Sing?
No.
Yes, he is!
As what, one side character?
I'm going to look this up right now because
go
fuck
do
you.
that. Right back at you. But the reason I bring that up is because the concept of Sing is that the koala character, the Buster Moon character, is, you know, gathering everyone together, put on this huge, elaborate show. But the drive is that, you know, like, we're supposed to relate to the producer of the show, who's not a singer, is not a dancer, is not an artist of any kind. And we ourselves are supposed to think, oh, without his driving force to keep them all together, these people would not be anything. So I don't really like shows that like that where they glorify the producer side of it. You know, Walt Disney was all well and good, but let's give actual credit to Mary Blair and the people who actually made the movies.
No, I get what you're saying, and that's a fair point. He plays a mouse named Mike! Go fuck yourself!
Yeah, okay, fine, sure, whatever, but that's not...
The hustling mouse known as Mike, who
yeah.
boldly proclaims that he's not in the singing competition for fun, he's here to win!
Yeah, okay, fine, yeah, but...
Suck my dick, Noah! I was right!
Children! Holy fuck!
The point is that...
We're losing the plot of this.
So Duncan, but I do like Duncan's performance in this. Like, I like his kind of slimy, but also, like, very put-together delivery of this character. And it's a nice contrast, you know? He's like, I'm just in it for the money. But you can tell that, like, he's enjoying the journey at the same time.
Yeah! I think it's clear that he genuinely does care about his well-being, and I do think he's got a cool design, actually looking like, kinda like the kids that are all like, oh, he's a gangster, he's a Yakuza guy, and it's like, yeah.
That first interaction with Naru where she sees his tats was kind of cool.
It was so cute, because she runs inside, and she's like, yeah, I got some ink,
quick
too.
Sharpie on it, it's like, look at my ink, man.
And it's like, what's that? That's a flower? Those are chocolates.
Yeah. I love it.
It's like, oh, that's so cute.
I'm gonna pay with my plastic credit card. Card.
Oh, I've never seen one before. It's like, wow.
I've never seen this before. I gotta show Granny.
But I think he's got a good heart on him, and I think he is a necessary balancing force for somebody like Honda.
100%.
So yeah, I think Duncan and Austin especially are very well-performed characters and very fun to talk about.
Amon, what do you think of Duncan?
Duncan's good. I think we kind of got it what I would have said about him. It's a good performance, and I think he contrasts really nicely with Honda-san. Like, they are different people, and I also very much understand why they're friends, or continue to be friends.
Yeah. You very easily see why they're friends.
Duncan holds the very important role of being like the one guy who Honda trusts enough that when he busts his balls, he takes him seriously.
Yeah.
Which is it's a good person to have in your life.
I guess that's true enough.
It's always good to have that person in your life in some form of fashion.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, because Kawafuji is definitely in it for, like, surface level Kawafuji is like, oh, I'm in it for the money and maybe getting some women while I'm at it. But, like, if you look at Kawafuji at a deeper level, like, again, he's known Honda for, like, a while. A good long time. And I feel like you're absolutely right. Duncan is able to, like, get a sense of Kawafuji, especially when it comes to his relationship with Honda. And just, like, his anxiety, like, Honda's anxieties, the imposter syndrome. Like, he's probably Honda's biggest cheerleader without, like, the energy of being the biggest cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
he kind of shields
it's like
it. He shields his enthusiasm in irony, I guess.
Yeah, because it's like, dude, I thought you were very confident about this piece. You like this piece. It's your masterpiece. You said. It's like it's like he's much more casual about it, but you can tell that Kawafuji is like the biggest supporter in the room most of the time because he understands Honda from a very, very interesting and more personal perspective since he's known him that long. And I think Duncan is able to capture that very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
It still boggles my mind a little bit that calligraphy is something that is, like, popular, can make money, can, like, have art shows. Because, like, to us over here in our culture where writing words on paper is like, okay, that's all. It's penmanship, but it's not something I'm gonna like pay money for a big poster with handwriting on it for.
There's always an industry in the creative arts for this kind of stuff, even if you don't think there is.
I would say the English equivalent that's not the English equivalent would be like us doing cursive. It's both the equivalent and not the equivalent to calligraphy at the same time.
I was going to say, there's also like pop art, and there are pieces that are
true.
similar like that convey an artistic meaning and expression, even if they seem like simple things that, quote unquote, anybody can do.
See, I was more on the lines thinking of like, because you know how for Japan, for kids, they have to take like calligraphy classes and things like that.
Right.
I remember taking cursive in class.
Yeah, but...
like doing cursive when I was a kid. Like that's where my brain the connection went.
Yeah, but you never got like an award. Like they didn't give out awards for like the best cursive in class.
No, because the American education system does not like to do things like that.
I would pay good money though for the one calligraphy that was made with fish. Like that, I would want framed.
That was really cool.
Good. That one was good. It's not my favorite. The stars one is my favorite, but the fish one is also a lot of fun.
So, just a side tangent there. I'm glad we have a character like Kawafuji who like knows how to sell and market something that honestly personally just looks like arts and crafts to us. But then again, I wouldn't pay big money for Campbell's Soup multicolored Andy Warhol paintings either. So maybe I'm just uncultured.
I think that means you won't survive in the New York City snobby art scene.
Oh,
absolutely not. No. Why do you think I live here?
And speaking of other people who live here instead of there, let's talk about...
That is the worst segue you can think of.
Oh, that's like a 4 out of 10. I'll give him a little credit for that.
I'm sorry, who's driving the bus right now? Who's steering this train right now? Okay.
Panda's driving the bus.
Oh my god, there's bears driving. How can that be? Oh my god.
Can we shift over to a Clerks cartoon episode at like halfway through this episode?
I'm gonna take my tractor and ride off into the sunset. Goodbye.
I'm going to say that by the end of this recording, this episode will be longer than the entirety of the Clerks cartoon.
It's sad because it's true.
It's sad because it's true. It was only 6 episodes.
Okay, then yeah, probably.
So who else is in this town?
Let's talk about Miwa Yamamura, Tamako Arai, and Hiroshi Kido. Miwa and Arai, they are local middle school girls that basically turned the residence where Honda has been staying into their own private club. And basically, it was they were the raccoons that were just living in there.
Before
and
Honda showed up.
Put up all their posters and CDs and books in there and chips. You know, like raccoons do.
They were squatters.
They were squatters, yes.
Squatters' rights!
So, Miwa's a sporty girl who's... Yeah, I think she's in the... Was it the softball club? But they also just do stuff with the basketball club, too?
Yeah, something like that.
So she's the sporty one. Tamako Arai, she wants to be a mangaka growing up. So she has respect for Sensei as a fellow creator with the personal struggles of fighting her inner demons. Her inner demons of being a filthy Fujoshi.
Yup.
This poor girl should have been in Look Back. She needed someone to support her artistic pursuits, okay? She's getting none of it on this goddamn island.
Okay, that's where you were going with this. I thought you...
Whoa!
I'm gonna move on, Noah! And then Hiroshi Kido, who is the son of the village chief, who basically just reluctantly goes to deliver food to Sensei, and then befriends him and kind of admires his strength of will to actually put 100% into something instead of half-assing it like he kind of tends to do.
And unfortunately is also half of the reason why Tama has to fight the Fujoshi nature half the time.
That poor girl.
Look, That poor girl is going to grow up and realizing that's a problematic age gap, old me. What the fuck was I thinking?
Yep. See, growing up is knowing that age gaps are an issue when it comes to BL. Being an adult is understanding that age gaps are not sexy.
No, they are not. I mean, I know the age gap isn't too much between those two, but it's enough that you should stop fantasizing about him.
What is it, like 23 versus like maybe 17 for Hero,
he's like a high school senior, Kido is,
yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of BL.
What, Andrew? The gears are turning. I'm terrified. What?
The gears are realizing there is the same amount of years between us.
Fun.
Here, Andrew, why don't you come have a seat right over here? Just come have a seat, okay? You and Chris Hansen are gonna have a little talk.
Look!
Andrew and Chris Hansen have to have a talk?
Okay, look!
You're calling me out, bitch!
I was in college!
We're going this the other way, Steph. We're going the other way.
Good, make him sit with Chris Hansen. I don't want to deal with that bullshit.
I love the fact that we are having a very serious trip down memory lane with Barakamon, and we have multiple close collisions with taboo swerves tonight.
I will, for those listening, I will give them full credit here. Like these two have known each other and been, like this with each other, but they only met each other in like post high school age, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I was like a sophomore, junior in college at the time.
Yeah,
Correct.
Exactly. So no cradle robbing.
And I had finished grad school by this point, so.
So it's a bit of calling each other out, but let's be real, whatever.
No, I'd like to call out these actors here because I bet they have.
Oh, thank you, Noah. Thank you.
Anyway.
Oh, my face is so fucking red right now. Anyways,
I'm just gonna watch my little cat looking at snow.
Thank you, baby girl.
It's very cute.
Lindsay Hale plays Miwa, Afia Yu plays Tamako Arai, and Clifford Chapin plays Hiroshi Kido. Lindsay Hale has played characters such as Aiko Aihara in Seraph of the End, Nozomi Ishizawa in Hanabado, and I threw this one in because I also thought Lindsay Hale hadn't been around in many years, but this is one from this year. This one is currently W eligible. She is Kiki in Wistoria, Wand and Sword, a show that came out in July of 24. Afia Yu has played characters such as Yu Watanabe in Love Live Sunshine, Mikasa in Kase-san and Morning Glories, Rita in Rage of Bahamut Genesis, Yuria Sekiguchi in Nichijou My Ordinary Life, and Victorique Dubois in Gozik. And Clifford Chapin, who's no stranger to this particular podcast, has played Connie Springer in Attack on Titan, Hideyoshi Nagachika in Tokyo Ghoul, Yoon in Yona of the Dawn, Dirty Cloak Boy, Yamabagiri Kunihiro in Ranbu Hanamaru.
My boy, Yamabagiri.
And Sir...
Nerds!
A lot.
Dynamite himself, Katsuki Bakugo in My Hero Academia.
Dear God.
Suck it, nerd.
If we covered My Hero Academia again, that would be such a different episode, because when we originally did that episode was messed up. Because A1 didn't show up till like halfway through the first season.
We literally did not know who played Shoto Todoroki, like, until... I think he had, like, a line or two, and we weren't sure if it was going to be David, who it was at the time. Mm-hmm. We eventually found out David Matranga. But that was season 1. That was back when Todoroki still had his shitty outfit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if, like,
Awful costume.
I wonder if people recommend, like, if you're new to My Hero, to just, like, skip the first couple episodes and, like, jump right into, like...
No,
absolutely not.
Because
You
it's
need
not
the
a good
first couple.
story. I know the training arc with
No!
is all
You... Wow, you are offending me so much tonight.
Only if you want to get to the marketable characters is all I'm saying.
Yes, but also...
That's for kids talk, Noah. We don't respect that here.
Also, you know what, Noah? You know why I'm so mad?
Uh-oh.
You're not even talking crazy because you sound like the people that have morphed so far into the we hate filler crowd that there is no time to spend with any of the background characters because we have deleted filler from all of modern anime now.
Let it be known.
You sound like one of those fucks.
On the record, to call out those bastards who have a hotkey set up on their keyboards to skip through parts of the episode they don't want to watch because there's no action going on, and watch like a 20-minute episode in 5 minutes because their time is just way too important to actually watch the goddamn show.
I hate this. You're not even talking crazy. There are people who do this. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I think we've all seen the I don't know if it was a TikTok video or what, but we've seen the evidence. Get your act together, people. I'm mad at
I have dealt with a weirdo on Discord who was watching anime recommendations at like 600 times speed.
What the fuck?
Oh, they were a fucking freak. They got banned in like 2 days.
Okay, good.
Why don't you just watch like multiple screens at once, just to really speed up the process?
Anyways, we don't have time to go into the modern
We don't have the
attention
time to
span being
unpack.
fucked.
We don't have time to unpack all of that.
That could
So,
be its own
we could-
episode.
Yes.
If we want to unpack anything, we could unpack poor Tomoko's poor BL addiction.
Tama, I love Afia. I love it. I love Afia's Tama. It's so fun. Not just because between Tama and Miwa, Tama has more of like the general sense and the more calming energy between them. Though Tama does like instigate some instances, but she kind of reins Miwa in certain situations. But my favorite is always just like, I think one of my favorite moments is towards the end where Honda's about to come back to the island after being in Tokyo, and Miwa's like gathered the kids. She's like, we need to get this place nice and clean before Sensei gets back. Yeah!
And nobody's doing shit.
And no. And Tama's like, it's a trap. It's a trap, because most of this mess was Miwa's fault.
As an aside, she's got good taste in... Wait, she got that from her cousin. No, actually, she likes it too. She got good taste from her cousin, because I believe this ran in a Square Enix manga magazine, so that's why you got the crossover of Full Metal Alchemist and Soul Eater product placement in this.
Yeah.
So good taste either way, but still, that's still really funny. She found the one forbidden text, and then she got addicted.
Yeah.
Just the violent rejection of, what is this? What are my poor Christian eyes forced to witness? I can't stand it! Throws it at the wall, walks over slowly. Reads it a little.
This is actually pretty good.
She was one line read away from saying, it's not like I like it or anything, baka.
Also, just the explosive moment of watching her walk in on Hiroshi and Honda on each other. Just watch her brain fucking explode.
Yeah, all because Honda didn't eat anything and he got sick and he almost fell over, and the only thing that was keeping him from the ground was Hiro. And then fucking Honda's about to throw up over Hiro's shoulder.
Also, I'm not always a big fan. I'm also not always a big fan of misunderstandings in comedies, but I liked the one with her asking him what he thought of Hiro.
Oh my god!
And he's legitimately making the logical reaction of, oh, I get it. She's asking because she has a crush on him. Oh, that's so cute. She's coming to me for advice.
Well,
he's the perfect man. He cooks and everything. How dare you do this to me? What?
What?
I'm not a Fujoshi, I swear. Which, to be fair, a decade ago, I'm not sure I really understood what a Fujoshi was.
And now it's like...
Now I clearly understand what a Fujoshi is.
You know who also didn't understand what a Fujoshi was 10 years ago, Andrew? Your girlfriend.
You?
And we know this because we were recording an entirely different podcast 10 years ago, and I asked her, and she was,
man.
and she had no idea what that was.
Do you remember which episode that was?
I don't know what episode.
I don't remember this conversation at all, but I do not remember the conversation being had, but it wouldn't surprise me that this conversation happened because it's me.
It was early on, I'm sure. Like, it was just not a term that everyone was using at the time, so it didn't surprise me that you didn't know what it was. I'd be more surprised if you didn't know nowadays.
Yes, I lead a very sheltered life that in the 10 years that we've been doing this podcast, I still don't know what a fujoshi is.
Oh.
I guess I should ask Amon, do you know what a fujoshi is?
Yes.
And what were your thoughts about this good little Fujo girl doing her best?
She's trying real hard. She's the character on the island most likely to leave for at least a little bit because she needs to go to a big city where other weirdos are.
She's got her own Pink Pony Girl song somewhere in the background.
Yeah, pretty much. She is absolutely a lady who'd be like, I understand what she means. 100%. Afia is very funny. Afia and Lindsay are both very funny together. Like, they're a good pair.
Yes.
I love Azumanga yeah, no, they're good. Like, I think they play off each other very well, and I think they do a good job of capturing just like your teenage friend who, like, I'm not gonna say they're friends because there aren't that many people their age on the island, but clearly, like, a person you grow to like in part because of proximity and also because, like, no, you do have enough in common. I also like that
it's basically when it's a small town, it's gotta be, are the vibes good?
Pretty much.
Their vibes are good.
I do also find it funny that based on the mess they've left at the house in the first episode, they appear to have very old man taste in music.
And I'm sure you can respect.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you can respect that.
Well, if you look at their CD player, one of the albums is clearly supposed to be "Rocks" by Aerosmith, and I'm like, what nerd on the staff decided, like, hey, you know what we should put there? Rocks. That's an album people will definitely be able to recognize a parody of.
That's just so funny.
Let's put it like this. I believe that there's a lot of dad rock that goes around in, like, bumfuck nowhere small towns.
I do. This does feel like music they like because their parents like it. I do believe that.
And I didn't think about it until you pointed it out,
yeah.
Amon, but how they probably don't get, like, the newest stuff imported to the island in the first place, so they're
absolutely
kind of,
not.
Yeah, not trapped with, but like, a decade or so behind maybe what's popular on the main island.
Given when this was made, they're still very much in like, whatever new culture they get is basically what's on, like, whatever TV station they can get, and, like, they probably don't even have their own radio station. There's just one on the mainland that's powerful enough that you can get it on the island, and that's it.
Like, in modern day, their town is maybe 3 to 5 years away from finally getting bussin'.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of that backwaterness, like, I think I don't really think Afia gave her character. She didn't really give Arai much of an accent. Lindsay does, though. Like, I feel like Miwa was the one who was given more of a twang, and that stayed pretty consistent throughout the whole show.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that, like, Miwa is basically more like the tomboy that's from the backwater town.
The back alley.
Not the back alley. The back.
That's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation. Yes. But I do like Lindsay a lot as Miwa. I think she's got a very fun, like, peppy, Genki girl kind of thing she's got going for the character. And she's just kind of a fun little shit. Like, she's very clear. It's also, I love her relationship specifically with Naru, because she is the bad influence on Naru.
Yes!
Mm-hmm. And there's no one to stop her.
Naru gets so influenced.
Naru, why do you know about pillow talk?
BDSM!
Just fucking delightful, like, why are you teaching this poor little child? And it's like, they're not doing it for malice, it's just like, oh no, kids have ears.
Yeah,
Whoops.
Kids have ears, guys. They're very, very intuitive on shit.
Noah, you have been recording this podcast for a decade. I can only imagine how many things you have said on recording that you are afraid has left your mouth and gone into a 6-year-old's ears next door.
I think we actually made a reference to that when we were doing the disclaimer for the oh god, I'm gonna blank on the name now. What's the show written by the guy who wrote Sayonara Sensible Sensei?
Kakushigoto.
Thank you. We made a reference to that in the intro for Kakushigoto because it was about like, Ruby, where are you? No, don't look at that podcast. Anything but that. I'm so embarrassed.
That was pretty good, yeah.
But no, the influence that Miwa has over not just Naru but like all the kids, like when they go swimming or they like get to help clean up the house and stuff like that, I feel like it's wholesome enough that it's not so malicious like you were saying. And I like that Lindsay has not that you mention it, it is kind of a Genki girl persona put onto it, and that twang makes it sound almost Valley Girl-ish, not full Gigi necessarily, but certainly something that's got some country flavor to it that makes it a lot of fun to listen to. I think I remember when we did the W Awards back when the show came out, I think I said that Lindsay was actually my standout, like, look for this actress in the future, when we were picking one out for that year. And I'm sorry that she hasn't gotten as much work as I would have hoped, because I still think that she's still really good in this and could absolutely hold her own if given like a lead role in today's anime culture.
Look, I don't know if she's going to be as prominent, but she is still around because she plays a little magical cat that gives a fist bump to the main character in Wisteria Wand and Sword.
Oh, and that is not the main character?
It's very cute. Hang on, let me see if I can find the gif. Actually, while I'm doing that, Amon, would this be a good time to segue about Hiroshi and Cliff?
Absolutely. Poor bastard. doesn't get respect from anybody.
Nope.
He needs to get off this goddamn island.
I take it back. He's gonna be the first guy to get off the island for a while. Just like, I can't live here.
Well, he had mentioned in the show that, like, towards the end that he wanted to get off the island, so...
I mean, if my mother was going around telling me I was mediocre, I'd want to leave too.
Yeah, no.
Not only is the mom calling it mediocre, you literally see, like, the machinations of the inner cougar coming out, and he's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
She also basically insulted her own fucking husband in the same breath.
Yeah,
the hubby's...
If your dad does that...
He knows what he's about.
But no, yeah, if you saw that, if you're like, I'm aspiring for more, and you see your dad is just like, meh, I'm good with, like, being average, you'd be like, I gotta get the hell out of here. I cannot grow up to be like that.
I think there is comfortableness, and it's clearly not a bad relationship. It's just basically just like, it's what it is. It's not like anybody was set up by, like, a Yenta and met for their first time on their wedding night or something like that.
Jesus.
And yeah, Clifford,
look,
the one critique I guess I can have on the voice side is, like, Clifford does the acting well. He does I guess it's more standard sounding because he didn't get too many chances to be more over the top like some of the other characters.
I will also say that this was at least relatively early on in his career. I think this was pre-Bakugo.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
This was pre-Bakugo, 100%.
Which is crazy to say that.
Yes, there was a time before My Hero Academia took over the world. The only critique I have is just that sometimes there were moments where I got Hiroshi and Honda mixed up if the characters themselves were not on screen. Like, I think Clifford's delivery was a little too close to Robert's in certain areas because their pitch is very similar to each other, and he doesn't have the backcountry accent like some of the other characters. So, and that's just one thing that I guess if I were to go back and say, like, direct this a little differently was to... I don't know how I would make
differentiate the voice.
Yeah, just a little bit, because I like it when different characters sound distinct from each other in a dub like this.
I get that, but I think it's one of those things where that's like a to each their own thing. I do think Cliff at least has enough of his own voice in the show, both metaphorical and literally, to stand out apart from the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he bounces off of everybody else plenty, including the kids and the two middle school girls.
Yeah, this was definitely what we needed for the character at the time, and knowing that Clifford has, blown up, no pun intended, makes it kind of nice to look back on one of his earlier named roles in a show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, he's a lot of fun as Hiroshi, and I think he's definitely brings a good casual energy that really bounces off of the rest of the cast that the show really needed.
Yeah, I think Cliff kind of brings he brings not only a mature tone and a dynamic for the group, but he also has a mature, like, almost parental kind of tone and slight relationship with Honda, because Honda doesn't know how to do shit.
Hey, he
Honda
can make curry.
The closest way I could describe it is that Hiroshi sees... How do I describe this? You know how you treat your cat like a little baby, but the reality is the cat is treating you like a little giant dumb fucking baby?
Yes.
Speak for yourself.
Hiroshi is treating Honda like he is a big, dumb, helpless baby, and he's like, alright,
Hiroshi's the cat.
I get,
in the
yes.
situation.
Alright, I guess I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
It's not like I want to do this. It's because if I don't do this, you will clearly hurt yourself and die.
He literally that scene where they're at the beach and Honda slips on the rocks because he don't know how to walk on slippery rocks. Yeah, he was probably going to die.
That was like 3 concussions.
Yeah. Yeah. He had a huge lump on his head by the end of that day.
So let this be a lesson, kids. Parents. Let's be a lesson to you parents out there. Raise your kids to be able to take care of themselves in the real world, because otherwise they're going to end up like Honda, and nobody wants that.
And if you don't want kids, schedule an appointment with your local vasectomist.
I mean, there's
Please.
multiple options. Yeah, but yes, that's
There are multiple options. I'm just saying that there is also the option for the male partner to take, as well as the female partner. Just saying.
This episode is brought to you by vasectomies. Yes, we're
Plan
sponsored for
B.
this episode.
Plan B. Buy it while you fucking can.
That's a very
Oh,
different.
Jesus.
No, that's. Thank you, Durex, for sponsoring this
man.
episode. Anyways, did everyone get their thoughts in on these two characters?
Lindsay, Afia, Cliff, all lovely characters that I think add a lot to this cast.
I enjoyed them. I wish Lindsay got to do more things. Because I thought she hasn't been around in years until Andrew discovered the Wistoria credit.
Yes, which the gif I posted...
That's a cute gif. Thank you for posting that.
That is basically a character that is not Asta from Black Clover giving a fist bump to his cat familiar.
Who is not happy from Fairy Tail.
That is an actual, that looks like a cat. That is not just a giant head with eyes.
It looks like, from a distance, it kind of looks like a Cubey ripoff a little bit to me.
Well, I was gonna say,
That's closer to like a fucking Sailor Moon than it is a Cubey.
It's the
I can see where you're
It's
going
the
from.
ears on the sides.
Yeah,
That's what's making me think Cubey.
Anyways,
the
we now
thing
have
on
to
the
add... Anyways, we now have to add this visual bit into this episode. Sorry, editor. Anyways, let's at least move on
I
to
want
our
to say
final...
just one last thing.
What?
Is obviously we're gonna recommend the show. If you can track down the home video release, I highly recommend it, because Lindsay,
do.
Afia, Clifford, and Felicia do a commentary on the very last episode, and it is just.
I thought it was Duncan, not Cliff, though.
Oh, it was. Oh, I think you're right. I'm sorry. There was one male voice.
It's Duncan.
Thank you.
I think it was Duncan Brennan.
I
yeah.
think you're right. But Lindsay, Afia, Duncan, and Felicia do a commentary in the last episode, and it's very fun. It's just like you can see the joy of people who get to dub anime for a living in the way that they're talking about the show, and it just reminded me like how fun anime can be sometimes. So thank you.
Yeah, we didn't get to watch the commentary. We started the episode 12 one out of curiosity. Yeah,
And
so that's
then
how we knew about it.
We had to actually record the
Yeah, then we had
episode.
to actually record the episode. Yeah, and here we are.
You did.
And now we are here to talk about the heart and soul of what makes Barakamon. Barakamon. Let's talk about Sei Honda, aka Seishu Honda, and Naru Kotoishi. Naru is basically the village brat that has basically been adopted by the village. It's very much, she has family there. They mentioned that she lives with her grandpa. Her grandma has since passed away as they go to her family grave and light a little candle for her. They do mention that Naru's parents aren't around. We do not go further into that as far as what the anime is covering.
We know where they are. They went to the jungle. They went off to the jungle, and they just never came back.
Are you making a fucking Hey Arnold reference right now?
See, I was thinking Tarzan for some reason. That's right.
Andrew,
Right.
have you met Noah?
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Beg your toe-tapping fucking pardon?
Unfortunately,
That's
Andrew.
very rude of you, Andrew. I hope you
it
know
is.
that.
Lilac, please smack him on the back of the
Yes?
head with the newspaper.
I don't have a newspaper on hand.
Well, get a manga. Get a rolled-up manga and just give him a little bop on the back of the head.
I have my notebook. Will that work?
Yeah, what? How many pages is it?
It's a hardcover, like, journal-type notebook.
Do it, motherfucker. At this point, just get it over with.
There you go. Do it.
Ow.
Excellent.
There we go. Now we're even.
There you go.
Anyways.
Proceed.
So Naru is the village brat, and Sei Honda is the burnt-out, gifted kid having an identity crisis, and definitely trying to work on his issues after getting criticized for the first time in his life, and choosing violence. He then goes out to a remote village to see if that'll give him creative inspiration and fulfillment, to which hijinks and artistic breakthroughs ensue.
We must assume that he saw only yesterday before making that decision.
Playing the character of Sei Honda and Naru, Robert McCullum and Alison Victorin. Alison Victorin has played characters such as Haruka Yasuka in Sarazanmai, Kana Ijima in Tsurudure Children, Nakagitsune in Tokenranbu Hanamaru, Debbie East River, a character I only threw in because I like saying the name Debbie East River from Dimension W, and QT in Space Dandy.
Be still my hard drive.
Robert McCullum has played characters such as Seijiro Mikashiba in Free Eternal Summer, Ginty in Death Parade,
Hey.
Shinya Kogami in Psychopaths,
Hey.
Brian Roscoe in Gozik, and Reiner Braun in Attack on Titan.
Fucking Brian Roscoe. I forgot about Brian Roscoe.
That's the fun thing about doing the bit, is you pull out the
man.
deep cuts and you're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, we did do a Gozik episode, didn't we?
We did do a Ghostic episode. I remember the Ghostic episode. I just forgot about Brian Roscoe and that shenanigans. Holy
I
crap.
remember the Gozik episode because I was viscerally angry because there was a fire alarm that went off in the middle of the recording,
Yup.
and I had to stop for 15 to 30 minutes
Yup.
and run up 8 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
Would it be funny if
We-
you tried to do the episode again and a fire alarm also went off during that recording?
That would be less funny
That
because
would
now
not
I
be
have shit
funny.
to deal with. And cats.
That would be a problem. What is the policy in your apartment for, like, you were allowed to take the pets out but nothing else?
I don't know.
The policy is the cat is staring at me right now. And she's like, what? Are you talking about me?
No, she's watching her hand move around right now.
Oh, right. Yeah, I do that thing where I scratch parts on my body, and she thinks that's a sign to pounce.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, young lady.
All I'm going to say is that is a problem when I have to scratch my ass.
Yep, it's hilarious to me though.
Okay, so, Amon,
Yes?
where would you like to start? Would you like to start with Naru or Honda?
Or both.
I will let you get the first brushstroke.
No pressure.
No pressure. You're only competing for the gold right now on the piece that you're submitting in the next 24 hours. No pressure.
And
No
if you
pressure.
get a,
I don't care about calligraphy. That's easy. Whatever.
And if you get the silver, we will judge you and just quietly move away.
Fair enough. I think even when this show first came out, when I was vaguely aware of the dub, I did think, like, yes, casting Alison Victorian is a good choice here, because Alison Victorian generally stuck out as one of the very consistently good people in sort of the Texas or the Dallas acting pool who are good at playing kids. Definitely not influenced by the fact that I watched a lot of Case Closed when it was on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. That's extremely fair.
You know.
Which I think she mentioned on the commentary. I'm sorry, I think that was her first major anime role was
Jesus Christ, really? Oh, God.
The show was old as hell. Now it is.
And that dub is probably lost to time.
Yep.
Well, no, thank you, Discotech, for preserving what you could.
Yeah.
Did they even?
Yeah, no, they put it. Somebody put out a bunch of disco, put out a bunch of Case Closed, and it had the dub on it, and I know because I own it.
Okay.
Anyways, I had a point I was working towards. I don't think I heard much of any of the dub at the time, but like listening to it now, like, yep, no, that was definitely a correct impression to have. She's absolutely delightful here. She does like a lot of the people playing kids here, I think, do a good job of actually sounding like children, not necessarily like you wouldn't necessarily pick up on the fact that they're adults playing children per se. And I think Allison of those does the best job. She really does make Naru sound like a small, very hyperactive child.
I would agree that I do think that she does do the best job at really capturing what is a very childlike, natural curiosity and walking through life like they are made out of invincible material.
Especially considering that she's grown up with absolutely no boundaries. Like, you know, she's got her rope, and that's about it. She goes off and she has adventures every single day in this island.
Like, she will do whatever. She'll go hunting for frogs. She'll go hunting for beetles. She'll go take a swan dive off of a dangerous cliff because it's going to be fun when she goes into the ocean. She goes hunting for... Like, she just does whatever. She will just kind of be wherever and do whatever.
But, Amon, the most important question about her performance, of Allison's performance. What did you think about the man impression in episode 3?
Oh, it's hilarious. Just that was funny. Did a good job of sounding like a small child trying to sound like a big tough guy. Which, you know, once you're layering like different acting jobs on top of each other, I'm always very impressed by that. That just sounds hard to do. She really captured the face, if that makes sense, in her voice.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I believe it was on the commentary. Allison also pointed out that she took a lot of inspiration from her own son, who, I don't know how old her son would have been at the time, but like you can tell, like there was someone who had direct interactions with a young kid who could take that energy and put it into the recording booth. So
it is a very believable childlike persona that is being given to Naru, and Naru is a delightful character. I think she is full of how do I describe this? Anime has a lot of kid characters of varying quality, depending on what shows you're watching. And it doesn't always work. I feel Naru was the first time, because like I said, I watched a show over a decade ago, was probably the first show I had watched where I feel like this was a charming kid character that also felt like a real kid.
You hear that, listeners? That's evidence that Andrew hadn't watched Ozymandias back in the day.
I still haven't watched Ozymandias.
You hear that, listeners? That's Andrew signing his own death warrant.
Whoops.
What? Noah, I love you. Why are we so antagonistic tonight towards each other?
It's a bit, people. The two of us are bros, okay? I've literally got a picture of us snuggling together. We're good pals.
Wow! Wow, tonight really is a trip down memory lane. Holy shit.
That's what this is for.
That is kind of what the retrospective is for. We're doing our usual thing, but also being like, hey, do you remember this reference? Of course you don't. We'll remember it anyways.
I think it's fair to say that Naru ran so Anya could fly.
I think that's fairly accurate, yeah.
But there seems to be a lot. I don't know if the acting is was directly inspired by, but there's certainly an inspiration in the original source material. Was like, this character worked really well in Barakamon. Let's give her psychic superpowers and give her a dog.
I do know, like, season 2 onwards, Megan Shipman was, like, a new mother at the time, so I think a lot of that did kind of go into that performance as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it.
Anyways, I really do think Allison does a very good job as Naru. I think, like, even back then, I think I was still sort of thinking I would have been down to see a child actor attempt to do Naru. It's one of those, I get it, but I think I would have still been curious to see an attempt be made.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, this is not me discrediting Allison's work at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think she does a great job and really gets what needs to come across for a character as charming and frankly delightful as Naru, and still absolutely nails it.
We could put her in the chaotic good segment of the 3x3 square, right?
Is there anything even bad about Naru? I'm trying to think if there's anything bad about Naru that might just be a person... That might just be a red flag in a person. If somebody's like, I don't like Naru, that might be a red flag.
Alright, I will say this. I do enjoy Naru very much.
Mm-hmm.
But as a very high-strung person, I also did not see Honda do a single thing wrong in the entire show. I would probably also find this child very annoying to deal with all the time. Doesn't mean she's bad, but I would still find her annoying.
She's very precocious.
I think the reality is... Say Honda is a character I think everybody in this call right now has been at one point or another.
Saying Honda is such a mood, it's not even funny.
I have tossed a pillow or two at a child in my life. I won't deny it.
I was not even saying in the child violence category. I mean in the... I, too, was the gifted kid that felt really burned out and discovered I had anxiety and imposter syndrome. I recognize that a lot as a creative who... Let's be like this. We're all creatives in our own ways. Like I said, whether it's not always the artistic medium you would associate, but we do create stuff. There are times we are really proud of the episodes we put out, and there's times where we're like, fuck, that fucking sucked. I was on my shit game. I could have done this better. I could have done that better.
Oh, well.
While everybody out on the outside is going to be like, oh, you sounded great. That was awesome. That was a good time.
Yeah, and if you're not doing that as a person making anything creatively, you're not challenging yourself. Like, you should realistically have that experience a couple of times in your life. Unless you are just one.
Or you're a narcissist, which that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, sure. And Honda is absolutely not a narcissist. If I may circle back around to the thing that I believe I harped on in our original discussion of this show, is that
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Well,
I do want to talk about this.
Yes. So I was not really a fan of Robert's performance as this character originally.
I'm curious to know how this is gonna go.
So, and I came into this rewatch with the nice Blu-ray release, with that thought in mind, like, do I still have issues with his performance for this? Because I see the character, I know it's a Daisuke Ono original performance, and I guess I had this perception of what I thought the character should sound like. It should have, like, a little more, maybe a little gruffness to it, or maybe a lot more... I almost want to say like Clint Eastwood as a young man, almost energy to it, but
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's not the perfect comparison because honestly I don't know what the oldest thing I've seen with Clint Eastwood in it would have been. Like maybe
I think the impression I at least get is you had a very specific impression from when you watched it originally that you are now like challenging yourself to see if you feel the same way.
Certainly after watching anime, more and like understanding what the archetypes are. Like I see a lot of the archetypes in this show that I didn't recognize were archetypes when I first watched it. So
I just brought up the Genki girl when it came to Miwa a second ago, and you're like, oh, that is a Genki girl.
Certainly. So to give you viewers the reevaluation of this, I think I appreciate the range that Robert gives Honda more in this show, because he's not always just a crabby, cranky guy who gradually softens up. He has soft moments too. Like he gets like excited when there's a cat that he's never gotten to pet before. He gets embarrassed when his hands are all bloody because he was trying to cut onions and absolutely sucked at it. So I think in that sense, I do wish that his more angry moments were a touch more angry sounding, like with a little more menace to it. But because he has to encompass the entire range of Honda's personality, which is, very widely ranging depending on what's going on in different episodes, I'm not as critical of it. And the thing that made me realize that was the beach episode when he's berating the kids for jumping off of the pier. But then he kind of like shuffles off, and kind of under his breath, he admits that like he felt responsible for everyone, and a part of him felt bad that something bad would happen to them. And they all glomp him about like, aw, big guy trying to act tough when he's really a big softie. And the way that Robert...
Aw, sensei!
Yeah, right? And the way that Robert like jumps between his berating them and then confessing that he was worried about them made me appreciate a lot more the range that he gave to the character. So, what about you guys? Like, what was your takeaway?
I would say my takeaway from this rewatch is, damn, Robert McCollum is a really good actor. Yep. I know he's been around for a while, but I think that is also something I didn't quite appreciate when I had originally seen the show as well. Especially now that I've seen a lot more stuff. I recognize a lot of the types of archetypes that Robert McCollum is often associated with. Mm-hmm. And I think Honda is a really versatile performance in that he really does a good job. Like, he's like a deep-voiced guy who's known for a lot of deep-voiced characters and performance, who is basically playing like burnt-out, anxious kid living on his own for the first time after being kind of sheltered his whole life and trying to figure it out, trying to figure himself out and figure out what he wants. There's a lot of emotional gravitas to him as a character, while also a lot of genuine like comedy, but also real humanity and humility. Especially in moments where he's growing up, where he's realizing he does value these people from the village, that makes him feel more wanted. I understand a lot more of his true anxieties, insecurities, his imposter syndrome, as well as also his humility at having to apologize to the director, which we're not talking about Ed Blaylock. Rest in peace, Ed Blaylock. He's incredible as the director. The humility of having to apologize to the director that he punched out for criticizing him, and the director slowly realizing... Sorry, I knocked over something. The director slowly realizing this is a changed man. This is somebody who's really growing into his own. And Robert captures all of that.
And it only got him 7th place in the end.
No, it got him 5th.
He got 5th.
It was Kanzuki who got 7th.
There you go.
Which, that's how you know you were dealing with some real judgy fucks. But also, like, yeah, I think there is a lot of heart that goes into, say, Honda's story. There's a lot that's really interesting about the way Robert plays him. And it's definitely a kind of unique, versatile performance that I really do think people don't appreciate for actors when they get, like, a specific vocal type. There's a kind of expectation of what you would assume they'll sound like.
Yeah.
And that's why I like performances and casting choices like this, where I could really admire something that does break the expectations in a very positive way.
Yeah, I 100% agree, because this is one of probably my favorite Robert McCollum performances, like, ever. because of how, one, different it is than what you normally hear from him, but two, that versatility and flexibility of Honda as a character and the things he goes through really gets to show off Robert's acting chops a lot more than just the standard, like, mature, tough guy or badass kind of character. Would it also surprise you to know that Robert himself has stated that this is actually one of his favorite roles?
I'm not surprised to hear that.
So, Andrew and I, we went to just a small little convention that was in, like, New York or something for, like, a day. And Robert was a guest. I went to get a couple things signed by him. Andrew wasn't with me at the time because he went to go talk to Trina Nishimura. And I gave him...
We're convention professionals. We divide and conquer.
This is how our lives work. But I gave him to sign the sleeves for Barakamon and Psychopaths. And he was just so elated by that. And he had mentioned to me, like, these are two of his favorite roles that he's ever gotten to play. And they're also for two shows that he has not really seen people talk about. Which is weird to say for Psychopaths' sake. Barakamon, I believe, though. But he just said he loved Honda as a character and being able to, like, dive deep into a complex character like that. He just enjoyed that role so much. And you can tell that he got a lot of enjoyment, and he had a lot of fun with this with Honda as a character in this show.
I'm glad that he got to put something of himself that he could be proud of into this. And yeah, I'm not surprised that Barakamon is not something that everyone knows, obviously.
Right.
It came out in that era where there were a handful of shows coming out that maybe you had heard of at the time, but I'm not sure if there's like a big push by modern anime fans to like rediscover the amazement that was Barakamon. I'm glad we get to
That's why we're here, Noah!
See, it's the part of his statement where he said he doesn't hear people talking enough about Psychopaths that surprised me more. I was like, really?
Yeah, because that...
I'm like, dang.
Yeah, not only because it was arguably more popular, but had more episodes, more seasons of it made.
I thought there was no season 2 of Psychopaths.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah, it was just the one season, but it was still a two-course show, so... at least twice.
I see the confusion. I see the confusion. Okay, to be fair, look, I'm being a bitch.
There is no season 2 of Psychopaths and Bossing Say. There's
so much more Psychopaths material than I thought there was, and a lot more of it's dubbed now, so I may eventually have to go and check out the other stuff again, because I did rewatch season 1 recently. But, yeah, Robert McCollum is fantastic as Sei Honda. This is a great character for a show that I'm really glad we could talk about again.
Amon, did you have any additional thoughts?
Amon, damn it. Okay, Amon, hi. Sorry.
No, you said everything I was gonna say. Robert's good.
All right. Just double checking. All right, so
I do want to ask, just Amon, as someone who also has to like deal with annoying, precocious people in your own profession sometimes. Was there any part of Honda that, was like, a little too close to home?
No, mostly because I deal with people in an annoying way in a service industry style, not like... I did feel the sense of like, I'm trying to work, stop bothering me.
I also get the feeling that you're working in a service industry in like a big like metropolitan neighboring area and not like bumfuck nowhere.
This like if anything, the bigger problem we run into is people who don't seem to realize that the staff of the library are humans and not automatons there to do stuff for you.
Yeah.
If anything, we have the opposite problem.
If anything, I think you should show this show or recommend this to your partner Natasha, because you've told me that Natasha's done stuff with people before, with older people as well.
Yes,
such a vague statement. She's done stuff with people before. You've heard of people, right?
Look! I'm not 100% sure how much should or should not be said.
No, I get it. It's just very funny how broad that statement was. If you've dealt with people before, you should watch Barakamon.
If you know what? If you have met a human being before, you should watch Barakamon.
Agreed.
I agree.
That should have been on the back of the box.
If you deal with people, you should watch Barakamon. Andrew, Classy Spartan.
Funny enough, I'm looking at the Blu-ray release of it, and there is no pull quote. There's no, like, critic praising show quote from, Fandom Post or ANN or something like that on the back of this, which I'm surprised. They should have put our podcast episode on the back of this somewhere.
Look, we can wear with pride that one Media Blasters Coach of Sound joint where we are literally quoted on the Coach of Sound website.
I know Kusabi, baby!
I know Kusabi. Go check it out. We talked about it on a previous episodes.
Speaking of
anyways,
love.
There is all I can do with that is sandbag you and move on. That's all I can do at this point in the recording. Amon, final thoughts. Go.
This is a great show. It's charming. It's funny. It's moving. You should all watch it. Especially, are you part of the people who are perpetually annoyed that there is no Yotsuba anime and probably never will be? Oh, this will scratch that itch a little bit. So yeah, it's good. You should watch it.
Why you gotta hurt me like that? Why you gotta
because I've been rereading through Yotsuba right now, and it's on my mind, and I think people who like Yotsuba would like it.
It is amazing to me that we're getting a city adaptation before we get a Yotsuba adaptation.
Oh my god! I'm so excited for City.
I believe that in as much as the scuttle I've heard is that Mr. Azu, what's his name? He doesn't want one. Basically, he's just like, I'm not interested. I don't care.
Fair enough.
I don't know how true that is. That could just be spurious anime bullshit, like so much received wisdom online. But
I mean, if we're getting a Hanakimi adaptation in whatever year this is, I hold faith that we can still get a Yotsuba adaptation.
You never know. It's just, you never know.
You never do. No.
Alright. Noah.
This show is really good, if you didn't catch on from the last 2 hours of dialogue. But the reason why it's so good is something that Amon actually kind of reminded me of. When you said earlier, Amon, that you didn't quite remember watching this show all those years ago, but according to Anime Tracker you had. I didn't really I didn't remember the episodes myself either. When I remember the first episode, like I remember the exciting incident, I remembered falling into the water and almost drowning, but I hadn't really remembered like the individual adventures they'd had in the other episodes. So in rewatching this, I had remembered why I had enjoyed this so much. And it is the heartfelt moments of living amongst the people who are not concerned about prestige and career and so forth, but just being good people to one another, and how that can help you battle against the mercilessness that is the capitalist system. And that is something to be reminded of, how good that can be, to step away from the grind and appreciate life in a world where we all of us here on this podcast, and you listening as well, are probably sick and tired of working and living all the time and would just like to go to an island out in the middle of nowhere, catch beetles, go fishing, maybe put handprints on a boat once in a while and catch some mochi. That is the appeal of this show, and the actors really live up the enthusiasm of it. This dub holds up. This absolutely holds up almost 10 years after it came out. It is a goddamn shame that the only place to digitally watch this doesn't have a goddamn place that translates the signs on the screen so you can properly enjoy it. God damn you, Crunchyroll. I know people are mad at you for different reasons. I ain't just mad at you that you don't put the signs translated in your episodes. You have the technology. You just lack the motivation.
It is current year of our Lord 2025. There is at least one good reason for any single person to be mad at Crunchyroll. Yes. At any given time.
But the show itself is really good, and I hope that if you haven't checked it out by now, that you make some time to watch it. It's a single core show, so it's worth
Unfortunately! Unfortunately. Look, I know Honda-kun exists,
That's not Barakamon.
and I think...
It's not Barakamon.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I don't think I'm as angry anymore at Honda-kun. Would I still want to watch Honda-kun?
Hell no.
I'm just not as angry at it anymore.
Huh? Based on what I saw, Honda-kun suffers from the fact that I'd probably rather watch a show about his weird fan club where Honda doesn't actually ever appear. It's just them obsessing over this dude we never laid eyes on. That would be a more fun show to me.
That would be more entertaining.
Hell, I'd want an adaptation of the manga that I'm sorry, what was her name again? I'm sorry,
I was also going to say that, like, you said this was a prototype Comey can't communicate, and that made me think I could just watch or read Comey can't communicate.
That's also true.
That is available.
Why?
Because it's not called Barakamon. So yeah. Stephanie,
Hi.
how are you doing, love?
I'm tired.
I'm aware of that, love.
Yeah.
We're almost done.
I know. Okay, so this was such a delight to revisit, because I also enjoyed the show when it first came out, like, years ago, and it was one of those, at the time, those white whale dubs that I had been wanting for a while, and when we got it, I was so excited and thrilled about it. Getting the chance to go back and revisit it, especially now, like about 8 or 9 years later. I think what did we say? We recorded this like 9 years.
We recorded this.
2016.
Yeah.
Still, yeah, almost 9 years ago. It's very interesting, especially coming from a place in my life where, there are points of like burnout, creative stagnation, things like that, and I can relate to that so much more clearly now. And just being able to have that opportunity to revisit the show and kind of get a better understanding of those themes and those story elements is very, very fun and interesting. The English dub, I think, still holds up very, very well, even today, even like 8 or 9 years later, and it's just, it brings out some enjoyable performances and moments from these voice actors that majority of them are still well known and are in the game today, majority of them, but even then, this show brought out some of the more fun and kind of versatile and creative performances that I've ever seen in some of those actors, particularly in Robert McCollum, because I don't think he's really had a role since Honda that was similar in that regard, that allowed him to like really flex his acting chops compared to just manly tone of voice. You're about to correct me, aren't you?
I'm going to say one nice thing about Honda-kun.
Mm-hmm.
And that one nice thing is that the English dub gave more of a shit than the Japanese. Did you know that Daisuke Ono is not Seishu Honda in the Japanese version of Honda-kun? But Robert McCollum is in Honda-kun's English dub.
That makes
so that is the one thing that the fucking English dub gave more of a shit about than the actual original show.
Anyway, thank you for that side tangent. But I feel like Barakamon as a show is can be very relatable to a lot of people, especially those who have that creative burnout or stagnation or the imposter syndrome and anything. If you're in a similar place like Honda is, I definitely think you should go give it a watch, regardless of whether it's in English or Japanese. Either language track is superb, and you're going to enjoy it either way. But in terms of the dub, I really, really enjoyed the English dub so much, and it was such a fun time and a delight to revisit, and I'm very happy we got to revisit it and finally, like, talk about it fully. So thank you for picking this one, Bebe. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and thank you all for joining me on this one. Barakamon is... we had this conversation as well. Noah brought it up briefly. I remember less of the events of the show and more of the feeling the show gave me. And I think the thing that shines through is that Barakamon is still such a lovely, warm little show. It is a show that I think I relate to more as an adult than when I first watched it. It is a show that I think even if, like, the very details have faded away, the warmth I felt of him watching the sunset and having the first jubilated, excited, creative breakthrough in many years when he is splashing that ink on a giant canvas and laughing like a madman, where he feels fulfilled and alive for the first time in a long time. That feeling still exists. Barakamon is like a lovely show that more people should watch, that makes me nostalgic. It feels weird to say, like, I don't want to harp on and say the good old days. Barakamon is a lovely show that I'm so happy got dubbed. That would never have been dubbed if it came out today.
It was certainly the good old days for Funimation.
I think that's just an objective that this is, like, already a hard sell as a very Japanese country-style show about an artist in a very Japanese-specific medium, where he is a calligrapher that is drawing kanji and katakana and all that in a hyper-stylized way.
Yeah, that part is probably a hard sell. The burnout sense, I think, is, like, the ennui of just being unable to get past mediocrity and being burnt out. Probably
I think that's a human thing. That's still very relatable, but I'm grateful this dub exists at the time it did, and I'm glad this show found me when it did, because this was a lovely, lovely show to revisit. And I would hope, if you have stuck through this entire recording, I hope we have at least painted a wonderful artistic piece for you and a good pitch for why you should watch Barakamon.
And we didn't even
And
spend
if you would like
5 whole minutes going on about how great the opening and ending are.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, those are so good! Oh, the opening and ending are both so fucking good.
They're delight.
Oh.
I love them.
Oh, those are some of my all-timers. Oh, they're so fucking good. Fuck you, Noah, I'm trying to wrap this up. Anyways, if you would like to watch Barakamon, you can do so on Crunchyroll, where we have complained about Crunchyroll's captions and subtitles. You can still watch it there pretty easily, but you will have some complaints. I do recommend, if you are still able to track down an old Blu-ray DVD release of Barakamon from Funimation, I'd recommend doing so as well, because it's a nice release and it's got all the commentaries for episode 1 and 12 as well. If you would like to catch up on it, I believe Yen Press has put out the entirety of the manga. I don't know if it's in print anymore, but if there's a digital option, you might be able to read it.
Looks like the physical versions are out, though. I just dug up Crunchyroll store. Looks like the physical versions of the manga are available.
Okay.
And then I'm just checking, a double check. It's fucking Honda-kun. It looks like Barakamon, the show, is not in the store. So it is it is not even in the store. So it is out of print.
Bastards. Anyways, look. You can watch Honda-kun if you want. There are worse things you could watch.
You could be watching First Love Monster.
You could be watching First Love Monster, to which, yes.
Quick, no, play Cowboy Bebop!
Honda-kun is...
I don't have my flute anymore.
Damn it!
Honda-kun is indeed better than First Love Monster, which is throwing it the softest ball I can throw at it.
Yeah, I'm sad now discovering that it's out of print.
I'm sure, like I said,
bastards.
there's ways to...
How is that out of print, but Honda-kun is still available?
Look, I've gotten over my Honda-kun anger. I talked about it in therapy. Like, I'm trying to be better about this.
You just spat at me.
Anyways. So, you can watch the anime on Crunchyroll, try and hunt down a home video release if you're able, see if you can find the mangas physical or digital from Yen Press. And if you would like to watch more of us, my name is Andrew, aka Classy Spartan. You can find me over on Blue Sky at classyspartan.bluesky.social. You can also find me on Surreal Resolutions Podcast O&A, where we talk about the latest anime news with my fellow Dub Talk co-host and friend Jet. Where can the lovely people find you on the internets?
Hello, my name is Stephanie. I'm also sometimes known as Lilac. You can follow me on Blue Sky, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch over at Lilac Anime Review, spelled REVUE. I have been diving into the small streamer game a bit more. And as of recording this, I stream Tuesdays and Thursday nights. I am gonna have to change that schedule though almost immediately because I start dance classes next week. But yeah, I'm just playing a variety of different games right now. So yeah, come hang out. It's a fun time.
Okay.
You can follow me on Twitter or Blue Sky at Noah Clue. But basically all socials around the internet, if it says Noah Clue, that's probably me. I don't really use the socials too much these days. Been a little too preoccupied with actually raising Naru, I mean my children. Which is a very worthwhile endeavor. Like, I don't want anyone to take away from this that I do not enjoy being a parent. It is the most fulfilling part of my life, and I will continue to do that well into senior citizenhood, because that's kind of how parenthood works.
Alright. Amon?
You can find me at Amon Duel on mostly Blue Sky, but I'm on a few other places as well. I talk about movies and comic books and bullshit, and I have a dusty old song for you.
Yay!
Well, if you want to take the show's recommendation, you listen to Rocks by Aerosmith. That's a good album. That starts with Back in the Saddle and goes into Last Child. That's a good time. But for something more thematically appropriate, I'm going to suggest you go listen to Going Up the Country by Canned Heat, which I think captures the let's get away from the hustle and bustle of society for a little bit. And you can also check out the blues song that it's very obviously derived from, which is called Bulldoze Blues by Henry Thomas. That's a fun one, too. Although it mostly seems to be about just leaving whatever shitty town you live in because your girlfriend's dad doesn't like you.
I love it.
Anyways, if you would like to find more of what we do, we are the Dub Talk Podcast. You can find us over on our YouTube channel where you can watch the video version of this podcast. If you'd like to listen to the audio version, we have our platforms on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podbean is where you can find us. If you would like to support what we do, you can give us a one-time donation on our Ko-fi. And you can also be a regular supporter of our channel and our podcast by becoming a Patreon, where if you are a $5 or $10 tier, you can get a shout out at the end of each episode. We'd like to give a wonderful shout outs to our beautiful patrons: Bright Eyes 505, Crimson Echidna, Just J2, Quinoa Soup, Marissa Lenti, Megan's Mom and Dad, and Michelle Travis. And to our $10 tiers, Anthony Brown, Carly Lestical, Julia W, Otaku Anthony, and Pika Greg. Thank you all for joining me for this wonderful, wonderful calligraphy class.
And thank you for recommending this.
Yes.
Thank you. I would like to say, if after this long of a class, your writing has not improved to such a beauty and elegance of my standards, and you have not gotten the gold prize, I have failed you. I have failed you. You have failed yourselves because I have failed you.
Well,
Sensei, you still didn't tell me what BDSM is.
All right, I'll show. All right, since you're such a diligent student, I have some handcuffs. I have some rope. Let me show you, dear.
No, no, I don't know. Bad touch. Bad touch. Good night. I'm going to bed.
You
Amon, you're the only good student here. Thank you for joining tonight's class.
Yay.
All right.
Marks.
Good night, everybody. And otaku on.
Aloha.
Rock over Boston, rock on Chicago.
Don't you mean Barakamon over Boston?
Go
Oh,
fuck
Jesus
yourself.
Christ.
Love you too.